Jesus.
It was good.
Okay. Okay. Nick, I don't want to hear your black, nappy, raggedy talking about needing compassion because Asmongold says he wants illegal immigrants out of our country because they're here illegally and he wants to be like Ash Ketchum and throw Pokeballs at them and deport them. I think saying you want illegal criminals out of your country is a lot better than when you said the kids who died in the Guadalupe River deserved it.
Is he mixing up people now? I didn't say that. But is he mixing him up with me? Nick made like a joke that was kind of like edgy-ish, I guess. And then some people ran with it. But Nick never said that. He's not even like that political.
I don't want to hear anybody talk about...
He made a joke, yes. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry, my audience is fucking retarded. He made a joke, yes. He didn't say the kids deserve to die. Jesus.
Compassion and how these kids are better off dead because of AI. So you better get the fuck off your high horse, boy. Get the fuck off your high horse, boy.
Was the joke something like AI is going to take their jobs anyway? So maybe it was, I don't remember. It was definitely, it was a joke you probably should have made. Yeah, and all the conservatives fucking ran up on this shit. But
like 13 confirmed people dead and like 12
really?
like campers are lost right now from a summer camp nearby.
Campers? Is it children awake?
Younglings, Nick.
Okay.
Camp nearby.
Campers? Is it children awake?
Younglings.
is that Barrett in the background? Is somebody playing Final Fantasy while watching this? What, am I crazy?
Nick.
Okay. They don't have much to live for anyways. It's okay.
Wait, they have their whole lives ahead of them.
Yeah. What? Their whole lives, Bree? That's gonna Bree. When they're older, every job is gonna be AI. Everything they learn is on ChatGPT. There is no future.
Like 13 confirmed people.
Like, probably a tasteless joke given what had happened then, but like, it's obviously a joke. You can argue it was a tasteless joke. Now, I don't know why these guys would when they constantly virtue signal that they should be allowed to joke about fucking anything, but when they say that, they just mean people that they don't care about. But, come on.
People dead and like 12.
I guess comedy's illegal again. My bad.
Don't you spit at Asmund like that. I swear to God. A joke is a joke, and you either gotta admit that Asmund's joke was okay, because if you don't, that means you gotta admit that your joke wasn't okay.
This is why autistic people just shouldn't be allowed to talk about humor ever. Also, with the thing I said about like humor is just kind of, I guess it's complicated to really break down. It's easy to laugh at, but to understand why you're laughing at it is difficult, I guess, for a lot of people. The joke that Nick told, that I mean, you could argue was a joke in poor taste, is like, LOL, the future is so fucked up, like, you know, maybe it's better they died anyway because they're not gonna have jobs and AI, ha ha ha. That was the joke, okay? Now, again, poor joke, but he wasn't like making fun of the kids, you know? Whereas Asmongold's joke is, I think it's actually fucking epic to delete immigrant lives in the United States, and I think you can even make a joke out of doing it. Like, the thing, these are not the same type of, they're not, like, Asmongold's joke is literally making fun of the underlying people because he hates them, and he says he hates them. Like, from a policy perspective, he fucking hates them. Nick's joke was not that at all. Give me a break.
So let's relax, boy. Jesus. Come on, you can't be double dipping like this shit, bro. I had your back on that shit, too. I had your back. Bro, I got confronted by three of the biggest streamers, three of the biggest content creators on the, I would argue, the right-wing political space, and I still had your back. I said, yeah, he's a bitch for that, but he's a good dude. Like, come the fuck on.
That's having his back? Okay, well, I guess maybe, I don't know. Close enough. Did Joe ever get back to you? I don't know. Did he respond to my tweet?
Conservatives are real quiet when somebody goes and kills fucking kids in a school. But when it's an act of God, that's just like, oh, Jesus Christ, what a tragedy.
True. Yeah, it was also weird, especially for something like Techtown, to pull out all of the weirdly like racially intoned insults.
Nappy ass.
Yeah, nappy ass boy. Like that's very, very, very fucking weird. But okay, okay, Chief.
I'm friends with Roy Singham. He's dope. He's super cool. And the idea that he like has some secret ties to the Communist Party of China is so fucking funny. Because he is friends with a lot of them. I'm friends with Jody Evans. I'm friends with Jody Evans, co-founder.
Okay, listen, I'm fine with like we should be more aggressive, and I think we've been doing a good job at like bullying people that are like doing podcasts with people that should be asking more critical level, all that. But not. I'm sorry, I'll never go this far. I'll quit politics for this. Don't give me these fucking. I know I don't want to watch the rest of this. How are you gonna cut that clip right there? This is like clip chimped so fucking hard. It sounds kind of bad, but I don't know why would you cut it right there? Don't. If you're listening to me, if I have any influence over people, like, please God, don't fucking. I think that these people are really bad, and I think it's worth talking about how bad they are. But they're bad enough that you don't have to lie about how bad they are. Why don't lie? Just like just clip things honestly and do what you do, but you don't have to cut things out like that. It's cringe.
Because he is friends with a lot of them. I'm friends with Jody Evans. I'm friends with Jody Evans, co-founder of Code Pink. She's fucking dope. She's cool as hell. That is Roy Singham's wife. And I texted her when the subpoena dropped, saying, like, yo, what's going on here? And she basically said, don't fucking worry, bro. They do this shit to us literally all the time. Oh, I mean, Dana's friends with him as well, Showtime. Dante is friends with him. Like, the whole squad out here, we all know him. He's like a severely autistic, like, startup founder who uses his money to try to advocate for, like, meaningful research into like industrial policy, into fucking like Marxist theory. Now he donates it to orgs like what's it, like Breakthrough News, People's Forum, stuff like that. She is a revolutionary woman for sure.
Jesus.
She's linked up with, maybe I shouldn't. No, she's talked about this. She's linked up with Fidel Castro. She's linked up with Hugo Chavez.
Jesus.
She was just in Venezuela talking with Nicolas Maduro's son. Like, she...
Kind of weird.
She is the real deal. But the idea that she is, like, some sleeper agent for, like, the Communist Party of China is so insane that it's like, okay, you have not analyzed anything she's ever done. She's been doing this literally her entire life. But every time I think about my decision to leave America, it is rooted in this idea that every aspect of American life is fucking insane, and it is simply accepted as normal.
True. That's true. Like allowing foreign actors to have so much influence over our political system.
True.
For free.
I'm a freedom of speech.
Ukraine shot.
Did we watch both of these already, I think?
I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done officially with supporting the Ukrainian.
Not Jank. He's, yeah,
This is you know, it's taking me back.
The China show.
This is what most China looks like, to be honest. Like in the cities.
Oh, absolutely.
It's much worse in the countryside, but
yeah.
You know, this is
Well,
the reality.
it's worse but
It's
better
toilets.
sometimes.
Toilets, and only in English.
Yes, that is because it's a tourist area,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. Fascinating.
You don't see that in Instagram posts, do you? Maybe heavily filtered.
The uneven concrete stairs next to dirt work.
Yeah, with random like liquid all over the floor and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think you guys get the point here. It's just you cannot believe
this
what you
place is
see
nice.
online, just like with everything else.
We did have a funny thought experiment. I will say it without mentioning names, but just through this footage, you know, the people that are like multimillionaires that are currently getting paid to promote China, like big influencers, right?
Yes.
Say names.
And then they get to go home afterwards, right?
Yes.
They won't.
I challenge them. Like, I really want, if you're genuine about what you're saying, and you're saying China's better and people have better living opportunities than America,
Live there.
Live here.
Live there.
I genuinely invite you.
in
and
that
I'm not
apartment.
being facetious.
Yeah, I was going to say, when you say live here, be careful, because they would gladly move to, like, your tier 1, your huge cities, yeah.
Yes.
Go to this street, which is in a fully
yeah,
developed
they're
area.
This is Chongqing, cyberpunk
Yes.
city of the future. Go live
and
there.
you said it was better than America.
Yes.
And you said people have a better living standard.
Yes.
And China takes care of their people. They have a whole process, people's democracy, and the streets are clean.
Yes.
And everything's fresh, and it's not processed food that's going to give you cancer. I want you to go here genuinely.
Yes.
Go here and rent an apartment here because it won't be very expensive.
No,
You'll
it'll
save
be
some
cheap,
money.
yeah.
And I want you to live there for a year.
Yes.
And I want you to live there and do your normal life stuff. And I want you can make your videos and stuff. Show your normal life and tell me again the stuff you said in your first video.
Yes.
Tell me that your life was better in that year than it was in America. Tell me that people gave you a better experience. The food was better. You feel healthier. Everything was
live in
higher
that.
higher quality. Tell me
Yes.
that again to
Yeah.
my face.
Yeah.
I challenge you. Genuine challenge. Go.
Yes.
You have to live
Let's
here.
move to China. Yes.
And when you wake up, you get to
That's
look
the
out
police
at the police
station.
station.
Next
That's
adventure.
the CCP
Hell
police
yeah.
station.
What
And
a
you can-
cruddy-looking
You
police
wake up at
station.
the when the cock crows,
Yes.
Now, to be fair, these guys might also be unhinged fucking China haters too. So
and you go, damn, I love my life.
Yes.
This is a fantastic life. You walk up your stairs to your apartment here, and you just look out when the sun's out,
Yes.
and you go, I made a good choice.
What's the word for what you just did?
You know what? You're not going to.
both sidesing,
No, that's not the word I was looking for.
hedging.
Hedging. You gotta stop hedging, man. These people
Well-
are evil to you half the time. No, 80% of the time.
Well,
so.
it's not about even protecting their reputations. I'm just saying that, like, I don't think all of China is an
hedge? They would
unmitigated
never
shithole.
hedge.
Well, yeah, well, sure, but trying to be honest here, okay?
Be able to sleep because the
Yeah.
noise.
No.
Because there's like a surely
Yep.
DN underneath your.
Fixing
There's like
car
a yeah
parts,
fix your motorbikes and stuff downstairs. They're going to be grinding all hours of the night, and it'll be noisy as hell. You won't sleep. So, see how long you last, basically. Because
Yeah.
we've lived this.
I watched these guys for years. At first, they were quite positive about China. Oh, this is 1 month ago. But I think they've been chased out by the CCP. They're both rightfully bitter, but also audience captured because there's this whole cadre of viewers who only want to hear bad news and insults about China. Jesus
I
Christ.
love China.
Giving the Euroids a taste of their own medicine, lecturing them on human rights. Ugh.
Euroids.
Thanks to Mark Botenga and his team for inviting me to discuss Zoran Mamdani and Hassan Piker's digital strategy in the European Parliament. My full panel is live on my YouTube channel. Jesus. A third of Democrats now identify as Democratic Socialists. Okay, again, most of the people that are identifying as Democratic Socialists are not like full-blown fucking socialists. But this does help the actual socialists because it allows them to sneakily make people... No, don't go over that. God damn it.
They sadly don't, I don't think, explain what they asked.
It wouldn't surprise me. It allows the weirdo socialist types to get away with the deliberate obfuscation of the terms and everything. And pull more people in. Well, what'd you guys cover this morning?
We watched...
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Did you
God.
do the homework
Yeah,
I
were
told
there.
you?
Yeah, I did.
What did I
That
ask?
shit's happening. 1 second, I'm pulling up. Meddling ads.
Oh.
Yeah, there's a lot of proof of it.
Oh, so it is a real thing.
Yeah, it's a real. But it's both sides. I don't know if that makes you feel better.
Okay.
Super PAC with ties to Republicans has spent more than $1 million meddling in at least 3 Democratic congressional primaries to select preferred opponents.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, this happened.
Based. Oh, do you know that Queem guy?
I know Queen Min.
No, the Queem is his name like Queem is Yellow or something on Twitter?
Never heard of him.
I feel like you must have. He's like insane. Like I wonder if you saw it, you would recognize him. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, Gato Fumbador?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that guy. He's insane.
So that guy worked with, now maybe he was just a volunteer or phone bank or whatever, but he worked on El Said's campaign in 2018.
Pretty crazy.
I wonder if I want to put together a big tweet later today and see if I can add these campaigns and see if anybody will pick up on it. But like, because that guy tweets so much unhinged shit. He's deleted a lot of tweets in the past, and I don't think he knows that people still have these, but thank you for further illustrating why no one takes Green seriously. We were making 150 calls a day and knocking doors constantly for Abdul. His ground game coverage was absolutely insane. He received tons of national coverage, and we still got crushed by dark money. Get real. I say this as someone who worked their ass off trying to get Abdul the nomination and had and still have a lot of issues with some of Whitmer's tactics and campaign financing, but all voting is strategic. Yeah, I don't know. Very interesting to force a response, but
a couple of decades ago, communism was deemed as the biggest evil created by mankind. Entire generations were raised to prepare against inevitable nuclear Armageddon, against the socialist scourge. But sometime between the 2010s and today, socialists stopped being a slur and became a badge of honor. Zoomers are out there quoting Hassan Piker like the gospel, cheering for rent freezes and casually saying "eat the rich" like it's a catchphrase. And what's even worse, a self-described socialist became the mayor of the largest American metropolis. I mean, would someone think of the poor corporations and billionaires? So, what happened? How did an entire generation stop fearing one word?
Socialism.
Their parents were taught to associate with gulags and breadlines. Well, let's get into it. To understand why Gen Z is slowly turning more left-wing, we should first understand what prevented other generations from doing so. We'll exclude Eastern Europe from this conversation because they already went through the whole communist shtick and they want nothing to do with it. Instead, we'll focus on how the West viewed socialism back in the day. To them, it was the enemy, the scourge upon mankind's natural freedom. Baby boomers grew up with the threat of literal nuclear annihilation just hanging over their heads. They were drilled with duck and cover propaganda and were taught that the USSR wanted nothing more than to bury the free world. Gen X inherited that fear secondhand, but then got their own capstone event with the fall of the Berlin Wall, and undeniable proof that capitalism won the Cold War. See, I mean, it's the end of history, the end all be all. Nothing more to do here, folks. Socialism failed, case closed, just don't ask again, alright? Millennials might have lost on the whole USSR thing, but instead they got something way better. 9/11, which signaled an even greater societal polarization. An entire generation based on team sports mentality, where any critique of Western capitalism got lumped in with just being unpatriotic. Or worse yet, sympathizing with terrorists.
Either you are with us, or you were with the terrorists.
And this wasn't just an American phenomenon either. Western Europe had its own version of this. NATO countries drilling in the Soviet boogeyman into their curriculum, while post 9/11 Europe dealt with its own wave of nationalism and war on terror paranoia. But Gen Z? Well, we got neither. No Iron Curtain, no towers falling, only La Boo-Boos and Fortnite event.
But before that, a quick word about today's sponsor, Merlin AI. Nowadays, it seems that every company has an AI tool of their own, and each one of them charges you an arm and a leg to use them in full, which is just ridiculous. But that's where Merlin AI comes in by combining—
Wait, is this going to be insightful, or did somebody just link me like the most, like, sloppy, or not slop, but like baseline level? Like, obviously this is, I understand this.
Oh my god, bro.
Really? Watch it, I'm still—
ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, and more in one place for one price. And they're offering you a big discount. Merlin AI is perfect for any working man like me. It's able to help me brainstorm and fact-check my scripts. Its deep research feature is a big help in keeping me up to date with articles and social media.
Oh, somebody pointed out apparently, I guess that Professor Dave guy, a lot of his videos are just scripted by some grad student. He just like reads it off. King.
Media posts
Is he a
on developing
professor,
stories.
actually, or
No.
Oh, so we just
call themselves a professor, you know, based.
And if you're in need of creating professional visuals for that upcoming presentation at work, you can do so with its video—
There's no shame in this world. Well, to be fair, he apparently he credits the guy in his like comments. Like the only reason the guy knew that is because Professor Dave gives he credits the dude, but which is funny, I guess.
and image generation, all powered by a variety of different AI tools. Now, instead of paying $60 a month for the big three together, Merlin AI offers you a special 75% discount where you can get access to all of them for just $5 a month. Merlin AI is cheaper because they buy APIs in bulk, and most people don't use $20 of API a month. All you gotta do is click the link in the description, click pricing, continue, get to Stripe, apply the promo code, and the total drops to $60 a year or just $5 a month.
Damn.
But act quick, as I don't know how long this deal will last. So go and upgrade your work experience today and check out Merlin AI.
What's happening for him?
Holy Ray William
So
Johnson.
this next clip is going to blow your mind. Oh, that's so fucking gay. Damn! I'm Ray William Johnson and I approve this message.
Jesus. Okay.
There were some terror attacks, but there was no defining moment where socialism was embodied in this enemy we have to fear and fight. To us, the USSR is a black and white history lesson, and 9/11, a funny punchline. Okay, that's great and all, but how does that explain the sudden rapid rise of leftism amongst the kids? Well, here's where it all gets interesting. Instead of inherited fear, we got 2008. We got austerity. We got people going homeless while banks got bailed out. Our enlightened individualist way of life and fiscal policy that beat the collectivist Satan was suddenly failing to deliver its promises. You know what else we got? COVID. You could say that the pandemic was our own capstone crisis. The same way 9/11 and the Cold War defined the generations before us. We watched governments suddenly discover they could
Will you be doing a response video to Dave? I mean, I watched his video, so my guys will cut that up into something, but like a formal one? No. One of the issues and the annoying things with a lot of like Israeli or anti-Israeli propaganda is that the people that are doing the propaganda, they're not really like, it's not like an actual... Here's here's like an analysis of the country, here's how they conduct themselves, and these are the things I disagree with. It's usually just like rapid fire slop clips of like sad or bad stories, some of which are clearly not true. And then others of which are just actual bad things that are happening. And sometimes like unhinged, crazy Israelis saying bad shit that they shouldn't be. But I mean, like, you could play the same game with the other side as well, and just like, oh, well, here's all the clips of Hamas and Hani and Sinwar and everybody else saying like crazy fucking unhinged shit. But obviously they get mad when you do that with the Palestinians, but they don't get mad when you do it with Israelis, I guess.
suspend rent, halt evictions, and print trillions of dollars overnight. But that doesn't matter because we were promised a society where if you work hard enough, you'll be able to sit in a private plane and eat caviar to your heart's content. But then came the hangover. Inflation ate whatever savings people scraped together, landlords jacked up rent, the second restrictions were lifted, wages just stagnated and, well, continued to do so. Meanwhile, the same billionaires who gave us hope during lockdown saw their net worth balloon up into the stratosphere. And no matter how hard you worked or how big your workload got, instead of us being in that private plane, it was instead filled with alleged human traffickers that are now in Britain and tweeting. But it's not like Europe was doing any better. Like, let's be real, it's Europe we're talking about. The UK has its own cost of living crisis headlines on rotation. Germany's dealing with its energy crisis and housing shortage. And I don't even want to talk about Southern Europe's unemployment numbers, you know. Whether in Berlin, Barcelona, or Boston, the math just doesn't math up anymore. You know, degrees are depreciating and don't even guarantee jobs anymore. Jobs don't guarantee affordable rent, and rent doesn't guarantee anything resembling life your parents had at your age. So like, fucking just spend it on matcha and labubus. Fuck it. And when such economic burdens become too much to carry, socialist ideas begin to thrive. But that's not the whole picture. Sure, when times are tough, some people become radicalized. But scream your frustrations into the void, and the void doesn't scream back. Bye! But scream your frustrations online, and suddenly you have a following and your ideas spread. Welcome to BreadTube, the left's answer to the alt-right pipeline. Contrary to what the name suggests, this isn't a community debating on whether or not banana bread is better than garlic. Rather, it's a loose network of leftist YouTubers and video essayists, named after the book of Russian anarchist Pyotr Kropotkin, The Conquest of Bread. In it, Kropotkin lists out some of the flaws of both capitalism and feudalism, and modern BreadTubers honor him and his legacy by tackling modern systemic problems of today, sprinkling some Marxist talking points here and there, and packaging it into content that's actually watchable and engaging. Having time to read Marx in this economy? Buddy, the best I can do is a 20-minute video in the background. Long-format video essays about your favorite movies' leftist messaging. Meme-heavy edits with an ironic, endearing, theater kid-like energy. Hour-long Twitch streams where Hasan reacts to Fox News with the energy of a sports commentator? Fuck me, Hasan. You know, these content formulas were very effective at garnering large audiences who were frustrated with the state of the world.
Did the banks really get bailed out in 2008? Yeah. I mean, they kind of had to, or else it would have been catastrophic for...
But didn't they all literally pay back the fucking money with interest?
Yeah, they paid back the loans that they got, sure. But, are you familiar with the concept of, like, a risk-adjusted rate of return? So, like, let's say that I can invest in one thing, and the rate of return is estimated to be 10%, and then I can invest in another thing where the rate of return is supposed to be 100%. But the question you would ask is like, okay, well, let's do like a risk assessment. You know, so with a normal stock market, it's like 99% likely over a time horizon to give you like I shouldn't say 99%, it's probably like 95%, but like, you know, you'll make a 7% average rate of return. Whereas a much riskier investment, you might have like a 50% chance to lose all your money or something, right? So you do, when you're looking at a rate of return, you do a risk adjustment on the rate of return to make sure you're not making a stupid bet, because even though the rate of return might be high, the risk is so high that it outweighs the expected value of just like a safer investment, right?
Yep.
When private companies are engaged in certain types of business, they should be weighing the risk of that business so that the stuff that they're doing allows them to, so that they're acting reasonable, I guess, right?
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that you could factor in potentially the in your rate of return where you're like, you know, we're going to embark on this kind of like risky mission, and if things get like super fucked, we think the government's going to bail us out. Because what that means is now you are engaged in a risky business. And remember, as the risk premium goes up, or as the risk goes up generally, your rate of return is going to go up. Well, so now you found a way to make a fuck ton of money because you're engaged in risky behavior. But there's like a government backstop here to make sure that you're A-okay if things get like too crazy. It sounds to me like you found a way to privately make a whole bunch of fucking money. But if things get really fucked, there's like a public bailout for you. And these are already like some of the wealthiest people in society and like wealthy industries. And that feels kind of shit, you know?
Yeah, I agree it's fucked, what happened in 2008 specifically, but it seems like the government doesn't have another option besides to have bailed them out and then legislate like safeguards with these companies in the future.
Sure.
Because if they don't bail them out, then...
No, yeah. The bailouts were good, but you feel a little bit fucking annoyed because it's like, it's the feeling of like, I don't know if you've, I guess, I don't know how, I don't think your brother is too fucked up, but it's like when you have like a crackhead sibling and you're doing the best you can in life and your family is like shouldering you with more and more responsibilities, and you've got like a crackhead sibling that your parents keep giving more and more money to. At some point you start to feel a little bit taken for a ride, because I was like, okay, well, I'm working hard, I'm doing everything I can, and my family relies on me for stuff which feels good, but like, why does my crackhead sibling keep getting bailed out by my parents? This feels kind of bullshit. Like, why is he getting rewarded and he's allowed to go on like fucking crack binges? It's kind of fucked up. And I think that, there's a feeling...
people wanted like punitive...
Yeah, and realistically, I don't know. I'm
right?
I'm not arguing that like they shouldn't have bailed them out. They needed to bail them out, absolutely. But like that feels like shit. Like you got to because it's not like when they bailed them out, yeah, they pay the government back, but like it's not like we got like a share of the profits.
Well, no,
or whatever.
the people got fucked.
Kind of, yeah. Well, and not
the
so
people
much
are fucked, and then the government's getting, then the banks are getting a bailout, and then the people feel like they're getting fucked over because the banks got a bailout. But the people really, like, in their minds didn't.
Sure.
Right?
And less about the bailout and more just like the guys that were running this business the entire time made a fuck ton of money. And
doing it, yeah.
Yeah, that just felt kind of shitty. Yeah.
I don't know what I don't know what Obama or I guess Bush was supposed to do.
Well, by the time it got to them, that it was too late. They were fucked.
It's over, yeah.
World. And we're looking for alternatives to the alt-right meta. You know, I mean, there's like just so many debates you can do with college students whilst calling them snowflakes. You know, it kind of gets old after 5, 6, or 6, 7 of them. The jokes have been dead like for a while. I don't even know why I'm still doing it. I feel like such a boomer saying like, haha, 6, 7. You kids like 6, 7? Haha.
I think another issue is that when you become wealthy in life, like wealth begets more wealth, and you're always kind of like doing better and better and better and better. Like it's a big accelerator. But one of the things that you're constantly told as a working class person is that, well, yeah, you know, if the business goes under, you might lose your job, but think of the capital owner. Think of all the risk that they have to take on. One of the things that's constantly told to kind of working class people, or was in the past, was that the reason why the capital owners get paid so much money is because they have to risk their money for a business. And while that might be true in like an Econ 101 sense or on paper, it certainly doesn't feel that way, because it seems like there's a million types of insurances or bailouts or something else seems to be going on where it's like, okay, well, why doesn't it feel like these people are ever truly engaged in any actual risky behavior when it seems like there's always some kind of backstop to save them at the end? Whereas for a laborer, you know, it's like, well, it feels like if I lose my job, the chances of there being incredibly negative consequences befalling me are probably a lot higher just because I don't have the money to, you know, survive after not having a job, you know?
Yeah, I just like when people talk about it like this, I just don't know what, I guess, like you're trying to say, because I don't know what was to be done. We're bringing up an issue that had no clear, I guess,
yeah, by the time it hit the desk, it was fucked. But
yeah,
this type of thing plays out, it seems to play out over and over and over and over and over again, where there's like, wealthy people seem to be able to get away with anything, and then when bad shit happens, it seems like you kind of get super fucked as an ordinary person, and it just seems like over and over again this type of thing happens, and
Yeah,
it makes
the
you feel
little man gets fucked. Yeah.
salty as fuck. Yeah.
Funny. Hassan, 6'7", chair. But there's a sneakier reason it worked too. BreadTubers figured out how to game the same exact system that built the alt-right pipeline in the first place. Same titles, same tags, same keywords, same packaging. It's basically all the same as your average right-wing rage bait video, just left. I mean, just take a look at Paul Joseph Watson. Video after video, he makes the same content that propagates outrage.
An OnlyFans girl wasn't happy when she was told that getting her bits out on camera was severe.
What can be done? Maybe jail time for some of the people that played with the housing market. Like, it's not jail. It shouldn't be like a criminal thing. But there just needs to be a better structure to disincentivize that type of behavior. And you need to make it a little bit illegal. I still think like the best thing to do would be some type of sovereign wealth fund. And I know we're so far away from this in the United States of even considering this. But if we could just find a way to be publicly invested in our large businesses, then I think Americans would feel a little bit better about these big businesses when they're super successful. Because right now, when big businesses are super successful, it's not true, but it feels like a zero-sum game. It feels like when they are doing well, it's at the expense of like an ordinary person doing well. And if we had some way to have an investment in all of those businesses, I don't think we would necessarily feel the same way, but we just don't. We really don't.
How would you feel about the states of nationalizing the banks that were going under?
I mean, they could. I don't know how much that matters. The issue wasn't like the banks going under, kind of. It was because there was huge ones going under. It was the fact that they were making. The issue was that the banks were able to engage in both risky and safe behavior at the same time. It was the connecting of super safe behavior with risky behavior with an international pool of money that was the really big bad thing, right? If you're a bank and you want to sell mortgages, fine. But like, should you be able to sell mortgages to people that are going to use those mortgages to do, like investment? Well, that feels a little bit weird. And then when you give the whole world the ability to connect to those investment things, those products, you've basically taken a super safe market and you found a way to make a fuck ton of money off of it. And now the incentives on all of that are ultra super skewed, which is bad. But you have to like understand, I'm pretty sure they did. It was Dodd-Frank. It was Glass-Steagall, I think, that got destroyed, and then Dodd-Frank came in to take some of this away. Like, if you're an investment bank, you can't do stuff like mortgages. But I feel like, didn't Trump get rid of all of that anyway? So I don't even know if any of that is in existence anymore.
He might have got rid of it. Oh. But didn't the banks didn't know that they were gonna get a bailout, right? Initially.
I don't think they cared. Well, because the problem was that the issue is that you had a really bad scenario where every single individual actor along the way was making a rational choice, but the overall game was going to self-destruct, but nobody was incentivized to stop it. So if you're a homeowner, you had every incentive to get a home that you honestly couldn't afford because the banks would lend to you. And because even if you couldn't afford it, it doesn't matter. The cost of that home, the value of that home is going to 2x, in a couple of years anyway. So even if you buy a house that you can't afford, who the fuck cares? You'll double the money, you could flip it. So like you're incentivized as a homeowner to make money on that purchase, even if you can't. And now if you're a small bank, and let's say that you want to make loans to people and you see some people, can't qualify. So they start changing how they do these loan approvals. This is where like the Nina loans or the Ninja loans, depending on what you call them, come in, no income, no asset, no job verification or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it doesn't matter how solid the loans are because you no longer hold those loans on your books, meaning you don't have the note to their home where you're collecting payments from them monthly on the mortgage. Because as soon as you sell a mortgage to somebody, you immediately sell that mortgage up the line to an investment bank. So if you're a homeowner, you should be making stupid buys on homes that you really shouldn't have. If you're a bank, you should be selling stupid mortgages that you really shouldn't be because you sell them on up to an investment bank. And now if you're an investment bank, I think the main fuck up here, and I don't even know technically like what went wrong or what could have changed, was when the investment banks found ways to package these things together. So like if an ordinary person wants to invest in stuff related to mortgages, you had these things called mortgage-backed securities.
Like a REIT, right?
Okay. REIT is a different thing that allows you to invest in the housing market. Not quite the same, but I think a mortgage-backed security is like you have some mortgages that people are basically buying and then they have like a monthly payment that's coming into them. But the underlying asset is a house. So one, people are already really likely to make their mortgage payments. And then two, even if they don't make the mortgage payments, it doesn't really matter because the values of these homes keep increasing anyway. Yeah. So now if you're an investment bank, now you're also incentivized to buy all of the mortgages from the smaller banks And then they just, I think the final, like they made more and more sophisticated things to kind of like package these things and sell them. I think CDO was the final product. The collateralized debt obligations where they could throw different mortgages together. And then the issue is the credit rating agencies are always giving these things like AAA ratings on everything. So, AAA rating is a thing.
It's
I think
the safest shit, right?
Yeah, these are like cash equivalent things basically. So like money market deposit accounts or buying treasury bonds, you're going to get your money back like 100%. But the rate of return is usually quite low. But now you're telling me I've got a rate of return that's quite high on something that you're telling me is good as basically like a cash equivalent. That's like a 100% like amazing investment. So now every single person on the planet is like hungry for these things, which is driving the cost of everything. So obviously this can't go on indefinitely. But I mean, who's going to stop this, right? This is where the government had to come in and do something because...
Didn't the government only come in after shit was like fucked?
Yeah, the bubble
did they
popped.
come in like... Yeah.
And then shit was fucked. But like there should have been something that banned that. And I think what part of the Dodd-Frank solution was to make it so like if you do... A mortgage cannot be something that somebody can bet on. You can't do investments related to mortgages. That shouldn't be allowed, I think is one of the... things that were banned. But one of the reasons why it's annoying when everybody's like, oh, this is going to be like 2008, this is going to be like the housing crisis. The reason why the housing crisis was so especially bad was because you found a way to connect what should be a safe investment into a risky investment, and then you allowed an international pool of money to take shots at it. And it's very rare that there's anything that like is that type of equivalent thing. Like you can have bubbles and bubbles that pop, but for them to end up like in a global financial crisis meltdown the way that the housing bubble was, that was a pretty unique situation. It was really stupid the way, but nobody along that chain was incentivized to stop it.
To stop, yeah. But there were some banks that weren't doing this.
No. You had to, because if you weren't doing this, you went out of business. How would you feel? You got a bunch of guys
I
who
could
are
have sworn that there was like one or two banks.
I mean, there might have been a couple.
They were doing it, but they
like,
weren't like fucked over by it. Okay.
Maybe, yeah. There might have been a few like credit unions or something. But like, just think about it. You've got salespeople, you've got people that work as bankers and everything, and everybody on your street is doing business. And why the fuck would I go to your bank to get a loan where you're gonna fucking do all this verification, hard creditables, and all this shit? Why don't I go down the street and just get one that's like so much better and it's just gonna, yeah, you kind of have to now because you're in a competitive market.
You're like fiduciarily fucked too to do it.
A little bit, yeah.
Does it finding a husband?
Makes infantile jokes.
Grocery store because of the people that live in the camp.
Oh, I don't know. They look perfectly charming and friendly to me. You're all refugees.
Acts smug and blames the immigrants or liberals for all the world's woes. And then take a look at Hasan. Same rage bait, clickbait thumbnails, same inflammatory...
What are your thoughts on restrictions on a certain amount of leverage? One of these financial institutions. Leverage is fine. You can leverage as much as you want as long as there's an appropriate like collateral hold and the risk adjustment is done appropriately. But it's once you start like incorrectly calculating the risk or whatever, then I mean things get more fucked up. And also you just shouldn't be allowed to just socializing risk fuck up. It just feels very, very, very bad. It's just not a good feeling.
Statements.
I feel like we'd actually be in a less fucked state in the world if Obama did do some sort of like punitive damage isn't the word. Like
punitive action, like taking people.
Yeah, punitive action.
But the problem is that like
people in the banks.
You'd really have to invent crimes because it's not like because people get mad that nobody went to jail. Like nobody really broke any laws. Like being greedy is not a crime, and I don't know if anybody technically did anything wrong. That's what I mean when I say everybody was incentivized to act the way that they did along the way.
They just played with like the entire world's economy. It blew up, and then needed it to get fixed by big government.
Yeah.
Narcissistic arrogance.
The Persian diaspora, the Iranian diaspora, has that same like Zionist attitude.
But instead of blaming the migrants, he blames the Zionists and capitalists. So the same lonely, terminally online 17-year-old fanboy who normally get a straight diet of Ben Shapiro debating SJWs suddenly finds a leftist streamer sitting at the exact same fork in the road, dressed in the same internet native packaging he already trusts. You know, it almost reminds me of a certain shape. I just can't put my finger on it. Instead of handing a 20-year-old Das Kapital and telling them good luck, BreadTube instead handed them a 40-minute video with jokes, societal critique, production value, and a personality that feels more like a funny older cousin rather than a typical professor. You know, that also kind of reminds me of someone, but I just can't put my finger on it.
This guy's freaking
One second
epic.
you're watching someone poke fun at Friends' many, and I mean many, plot holes. The next second you're binging second thoughts, rants.
The investigation has resulted in massive findings of fraud, by the way, and nobody went to prison. Oh, I've never heard that before. But if that's true, then if anybody did fraud, then they should go to prison. But
capitalist propaganda. It's a slippery slope. Whether or not you think that's genuine political engagement or just parasocial brain rot with a red flag pin in it, the effect is undeniable. An entire generation absorbed their politics through streams and video essays instead of books and party meetings. And when many people feel unheard and forgotten in this world, naturally they tend to gravitate to a person who they perceive as telling it as it is. And with unlimited access to information just through your fingertips, socialist ideas are able to spread faster than ever. The printing press has jack shit on Twitter, you know? Ultimately, young people are turning socialist because of genuine concern about the ruling liberal capitalist system they live in. And these concerns are exacerbated by catchy left-wing content from social media and BreadTubers, whilst also lacking the usual pushback the previous generations received during the Cold War or post 9/11, right? Well, kinda, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. At the end of the day, most Gen Z socialists have, well, not read Das Kapital, or Kropotkin, or anything past the first chapter of, I don't know, whatever leftist book they're supposedly reading. And the term socialist can mean many things, depending on which uncle you ask. For a huge chunk of this population, socialism isn't the detailed blueprint of seizing the means of production as it used to be. It's more of a vibe. You know, like, it's more of a vibe. Like, seize the means of production. It's anti-billionaire, pro-union, pro-UBI, tax the rich, eat the rich, slightly saute the rich before cooking the rich, all wrapped up in a neat package of $1,383 worth of glass frames package. I don't know. But Hasan has expensive glasses, that's what I want to say. He's fucking wearing expensive glasses. Ask 10 different Gen Zers what socialism means, and you'll get 10 different answers, ranging from full state ownership of all industry to just, well, like, you know, like what they have in Norway, but, you know, like with nicer weather, dude. The prisons are nice.
Yeah, they found tons of internal documents talking about how they knew they were selling products with no value as massive profits. They knew their products were high risk and misrepresented. Well, I mean, it's the only representation you have to give is what the credit rating agency gives you. Like, technically, you can't say that you know a thing is valued incorrectly, because that's, I mean, a thing is, it sounds not to be a memer, but like the value of a thing is whatever somebody's willing to pay for it. And then to say that, well, they knew that they were selling things that were valued differently or whatever than they should have been. I mean, what you're describing there is essentially every single market transaction ever. Like, if you're on the market,
Just
you
like
always
Tesla, right?
Well, no, not necessarily Tesla.
Feel
Everything.
like it's overvalued.
Like, if you're selling something or buying something, you're trying to get in. The whole idea is that I think that this is being like sold for less than, or I think I could sell it for more than what I believe that it would be worth at some point in time, and that's why I'm making the sale. So that's like, it's not necessarily an illegal thing. Now, fraud would be like misrepresenting something on a document. So if they were lying about like, oh, like we knew these mortgages were bad because we fudged these numbers, or whatever, that would be fraud. But people saying like, oh, I don't know how long this business is going to last, like, I don't know, that's not necessarily fraud.
You know, like, you have a computer in prison, man. Like, fucking hell. A lot of what gets called socialism these days is just, you know, European social democracies with a rebrand. Stuff plenty of capitalist countries already do to varying degrees of effectiveness. Just with better branding.
Yeah, but they got the rating agency to rate it higher than it actually was. Yeah, but that would be on the rating agency. I would have to know how, like I said, if they're lying on paper to misrepresent it, that would be fraud. But if the rating agency, I mean, the rating agency is supposed to rate things correctly. Like obviously, the rating agency, the people going to the rating agencies are going to be people who are trying to get things rated as highly as possible. That's the goal of getting anything rated ever, because you want to get paid as much as you can. So, like, I would expect people to do that, and the rating agencies should also be expecting people to do that.
For a generation raised online. You know, everyone wants a Swedish-style social democracy, but no one talks about socialism with Bosnian characteristics. Like, y'all are...
I don't think everybody in the industry is making a rational choice considering a longer time horizon. I think the inherent problem is pressuring, conforming to the market, or losing your job. Yes, but the issue is that you're not really incentivized to look at longer time horizons always, because one thing that I think it's called time discounting. One thing that people don't realize is that the time matters. And to say that, like, and there are a ton of little sayings that nibble around the edges on this, like the market can remain irrational longer than you can remain solvent. Like, you might think that a thing is a bubble, but you thinking a thing is a bubble 20 years before it actually pops is just a bad call. And so even if you thought the housing market was going to collapse, if you thought that in 2000, it's a bad call, because you're going to be operating less profitably than somebody who operates, you know, assuming it's not going to crash for so much longer. And in the time that you are being rational about your long-term risk or whatever, you might actually just go out of business. You become insolvent because now you're not doing any business because everybody else is engaged in the risky behavior. So.
Just posers at this point. And we're not talking about a monolithic united movement either. It's less of a coherent ideology and more of a shared vocabulary for frustration, borrowed whenever it's convenient. I mean, there's a reason why leftist unity is a meme. Just like go on Twitter and observe how leftists who are supposedly on the same side argue about whether or not the sky is blue or just a slightly different shade of blue. That vagueness is exactly why it spread so fast. It's flexible enough to fit whatever specific grievance you're carrying with you, whether that's rent, healthcare, or just general doom about the future. And it's already flexible enough to cause the iconic leftist infighting happening as we know it. Tanky's fighting social Dems on this bizarre idea of ideological purity. Social Dems just rolling their eyes at the vote harder, liberal, and BreadTube itself getting called out constantly for being long on discourse and short of anything useful for their cause. But I digress. All of this, up until last year, sounded like it would be confined to just comment sections and Twitch chat, and would have no political impact in the near future. There's no way a socialist could ever win something important, especially in the US, right? Enter Zoran Mamdani, a self-described democratic socialist who became the mayor of New York City while running on a left-leaning agenda. He somehow turned unsexy topics like rent freezes, free buses, and city-owned grocery stores into his golden ticket. And he did so without the use of any pompous words like systemic, praxis, or means of production. Woo, just your rent is too high and I want to fix that. Simple, yet something that the younger generations have been asking for years. What also propelled him was his social media marketing. Mamdani's campaign felt authentic to the internet in a way that older politicians could never.
Oh yeah. Bernie Sanders is looking out for your bottom half.
Meme literate, comfortable on TikTok, speaking in the same register as the people he was trying to reach, instead of a stiff politician looking up what the youths are up to these days. In other words, absolute film scene has. As much as people loved Bernie Sanders, he always felt like a protest candidate. The guy you vote for to send a message, not someone you'd actually expect to win the whole thing. But
I super disagree with this. I think people genuinely did like Bernie Sanders, but
Mamdani is different. He has proved that the sentiment can survive contact with an actual ballot.
Hi, what's up, Pangburn? Hello, everybody.
Box. It's no longer confined to BreadTube comment sections or protest signs. It's
What
translating
sections?
into one elections, actual city budgets, and actual policy. Something for the older folk to keep in mind. So, is Gen Z actually socialist or just allergic to a system that keeps failing to deliver on its own promises? Probably somewhere in between. I mean, this isn't a generation that inherited marks from their parents. They inherited 2008, COVID, and a rent bill that just keeps on climbing no matter how hard they work. Whether socialism sticks as the label, or it's just a short name for capitalism but fix all the parts that are broken, one thing's for sure. The fear that used to come standard with that word is gone. And once the fear is gone, the argument actually has to be won by merit. But what do you think? Are you a socialist? Do you think Gen Z is becoming more left-wing?
Leave a comment in the comment section.
Let me know in the comment section down below. My name is Janusz, and you've watched Living Ironically in Europe.
Okay, I don't know why we watched this, but thank you so much. Chances Dave is hate watching? I don't know. Is he still commenting? Oh. Spoiler from the upcoming CNN piece.
I think these guys have failed so publicly and so spectacularly that it has caused people to seek out alternatives.
Wow.
I see challenges
hell yeah.
in the quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them. They don't win elections. They never run against Republicans. They just run against other Democrats.
True!
And their only message is...
Why couldn't this guy be my grandpa?
We're going to blow everything up.
James Carville says this is all going to implode at the general election.
Yeah, as opposed to previous neoliberal Democratic candidacies that have been spectacular successes so far.
Biden got the most votes of any candidate in all of U.S. history, by the way.
Hillary Rodham Clinton in 2016 and Kamala Harris in 2024.
We skipped one.
There are a lot
Notice
of
he skipped
people
over
who are
Biden.
like, this is not working. Cost of living crisis is completely out of control. Democrats haven't done anything about it. Republicans haven't done anything about it. There has to be a different alternative.
I have one simple philosophy about politics. Winning is everything, stupid. Let's think of somebody. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ran for president twice. You know what I mean? He did twice. He lost. By a lot.
Because for progressives, getting out of the primary is a far more difficult battle than winning in the general.
Yeah, because you're only running in super blue places.
This is our theory. The reason for that is because Republicans don't have a vision for change. Socialists do.
Ah. Damn. That's going to be crazy. Well,
come on, James.
What do you mean by that? How many times do you think Israel's going to come up in that? Do you
Zero.
think they told him zero? You think they told him no Israel for this?
Yep, probably.
You got to keep this one by the books, Hasan. Hasan.
You're gonna see
Piker.
1,000 jump cuts though. I told you no Israel, man.
Damn.
It's all connected.
What's your newest
Lego Death
Wait,
Star.
stats like that do not matter to me. There are more people in the country than there have ever been. How easy it must be then to have the most votes ever. What the fuck does that even mean? Well, then why did the 2024 turnout not even come close to the 2021? The actual answer is the mail-in ballots just allowed more people to participate in that election than they had prior, but if you're looking for an actual answer. And then if you're a Republican, you can say that all those ballots were rigged, so boom. There you go.
Trimple as Pepe Smug.
What do you mean by that?
It's a vibe.
Okay. Pepe Smug. Top post in r/politics. A third of Democrats now known as Democratic Socialists. Quick, China, get the bots on that post. Breaking news: 1/3 of Democratic voters don't really have a party that represents them, but also don't want a Christian caliphate.
Go make your own party then.
I wonder if every time a good idea comes up, Republicans scream, "That is socialism." Well, that's what you guys do, though. Every time a good idea comes up for the Democratic side, you go, "That's socialism," but okay, chief. Based. Destiny.
These guys
Oh! Thanks, Hamster Hawk, for the link. Let's watch this. Thank you.
have failed so publicly and so spectacularly that it has caused people to seek out alternatives.
I see challenges from the quote, progressive left, unquote. And these people are too hard-headed to know that they're not popular. People don't like them. They don't win elections. They never run against Republicans. They just run against other Democrats. And their only message is, we're going to blow everything up.
James Carville says this is all going to
that's
implode
crazy.
at the general election.
Yeah, as opposed to previous neoliberal Democratic candidacies that have been spectacular successes.
Reminder: if they
so
lose, it's
far.
Democrats' fault.
Hillary Rodham
APAC, you
Clinton in
mean. APAC,
2016 and
APAC.
Kamala
No,
Harris
it would just be
in
we didn't support him
2024.
hard enough.
There are a lot of people who
Because
are
of
like,
APAC.
this is not working.
True.
Cost of living crisis is completely out of control. Democrats haven't done anything about it. Republicans haven't done anything about it. There has to be a different alternative.
I have one simple philosophy about politics.
Are they not going to get him in a room to talk to each other?
Maybe they will. Who knows?
Let's think of somebody. Bernie Sanders. Bernie Sanders ran for president twice. You know what he did twice? He lost. By a lot.
Because for progressives, getting out of the primary is a far more difficult battle than winning in the general. This is our theory. The reason for that is because Republicans don't have a vision for change. Socialists do.
Wow. Thanks. Thank you, Hamster Hawk. That was crazy.
Thank you, Hamster Hog.
Eric clip glazing China robots.
And I mean, quite frankly,
this guy?
I think America's kind of getting
Okay.
lapped. My big fear as an American is having these robots ultimately used by my government.
Hey, if you want to destroy the left right now, you have an obligation to find every single video that this guy has ever done and comment and glaze the fuck out of him. Holy shit, this is the brains behind Hassan. Holy shit, this is the guy who's given Hassan all of his great talking points and everything. Oh my God, why aren't we? This guy's like the best Hassan. Oh my God. And I guarantee you that Hassan will backstab him. Guaranteed. 1,000,000,000% he'll lose his fucking mind.
Against us. But hey, here in China, they're meant for dancing. You got robots waving the flag of China, celebrating the glorious technological achievements of this wonderful nation. That is so funny to see. Even the robots here in China are patriotic. I think it is very emblematic of China taking the state-run method of trying to build out future technology, whereas the United States has largely delegated that responsibility to private investors who are largely risk-averse. And I think that is still going to play out probably tenfold in terms of AI, where you can very cheaply now make a software model, whereas making hardware to go alongside it, that takes a lot of capital. I feel like in the United States, and I think the West more broadly, people are very skeptical, very hesitant of AI. And then you come here to China, people are very eager. They're very excited. They see AI as a tool for, in many ways, liberation, to move them beyond the chains of their day-to-day work and
would they need
their
liberated
jobs that are so
from?
tedious in many ways.
Then they really
And
never have to work
folks
again.
in the West don't really see it that way. And I think it really boils down to how people view the state control over the technology that either makes their lives better or, puts them in position.
The reality is that in China, they don't have people constantly telling them in all parts of their media every single fucking day that all technology is evil and all corporations are evil and all the government is evil. So they actually feel a little bit more optimistic about technological innovation in their country.
Where they have to go work their asses off. Guys, live at this conference, the president of China just announced that they are starting a World Artificial Intelligence Cooperation Organization born in Shanghai, right here at this conference, live at this conference. And what's very notable is that it is not only China, it is not only Russia, but it is the overwhelming majority of the global south. It excludes the United States, North America, Europe, it excludes Japan. It is largely Africa, Latin America, all throughout the global south, Southeast Asia.
Huge tech.
This is a very big deal. This is a crazy development, both politically and technologically. What we're seeing here is the Chinese president stated China will provide 5,000 places for developing countries to study and train on artificial intelligence in the next 5 years. To build an international artificial intelligence application cooperation center for ASEAN, the Arab League, the African Union, CARICOM, SEO, and BRICS nations.
Damn, Daniel.
Including days of dedicated coverage on Fox News.
Two Jewish brothers offered to interview him for a summer internship at their startup.
Two brothers.
He posted this reply: "Not interested in working for a Jew. Thanks."
Cornell student Austin Franco is accused of sending the anti-Semitic message, and in several online remarks, he appears to be standing by his comments.
I'm glad we know this individual's name. I'm glad he was exposed.
Indeed, and the brothers are so generous and graceful, certainly more than I am, because I do want his life to be ruined. I agree with you. It is a permissive structure. And parents, what are your children putting out there?
Well, Mr. Franco may find it difficult finding another internship.
What appears to be an open and shut case of anti-Semitism, it was the campaign to, quote, ruin his life that some people found uncomfortable. Leo Terrell, who is an official in the Department of Justice, posted dozens of times on social media about Austin Franco, with one comment urging the public to make him permanently unemployable. Commentators, including Glenn Greenwald, who is himself Jewish, said it felt a bit too much like cancel culture. While listing the many powerful figures who'd mobilized to condemn Franco, he added, adults with large influential platforms, pundits, media types, even elected officials right here on X routinely say things as bad as, and often much worse than, pretty much every other group you can think of without facing a single consequence, let alone a completely unhinged, coordinated campaign of very powerful people to ruin their lives forever. But what Franco said was blatantly and outrageously wrong, there's no question of that, but commentators like Greenwald raise some interesting questions. Should a teenage student be treated so harshly when there are Republican lawmakers who compare Muslims to barbarians and dogs? Have we made it impossible for young people to make stupid mistakes in the age of social media? In a post-cancel culture society, do people like Austin Franco deserve a second chance? Well, we decided to interview him so we can decide exactly that. Austin Franco.
Wait, hold on. Hasan slap.
The fact that you were able to achieve upward mobility is a sign of failure of the system they want. Yeah.
What?
No.
What upward mobility? Is he a trillionaire? This guy comes from basically a billionaire family. What upward mobility? Hello?
Oh, that's not even the case. I am literally the poster boy for American excellence.
Oh my God, dude. Are we being...
I am the straight up poster boy for the American dream. Okay?
The American dream of... I'm sorry, hold on. Not to toot my own horn, okay? But when I think of America, And I think somebody said America is a nice place because it allows you to be the best version of yourself. Okay, it's got a lot of problems, but there's that, right? I'm pretty sure my life fits this pretty well. Okay, and that my upbringing was not necessarily the best, not the worst. Okay, I have at least one immigrant parent. But there was like a new technology that I was able to take advantage of, and then without even a college education, obviously no generational wealth or anything like that. Like I think I've made something decent of myself. I feel like my life is like a decent story for American exceptionalism, such that if I wanted to be a conservative or a libertarian, I would talk about my upbringing constantly, from carpet cleaner to international streamer or whatever. 100%. You were born a Nepo baby that stole citizenship from the U.S. because your mom came here to give birth to you, took you back to Turkey, another country, raised you for 18 years, brought you to the U.S., injected you into college that you didn't have to pay for, injected you into a media company that you didn't have to work for, that you didn't have to work to build, that your uncle ran, and then you were injected into a Twitch environment where somebody else, me, helped you build a career. That you're every single, you are the American shit story where everybody's like, ooh, that's like kind of the gross aspect of America, that rich people can come here, pretend they were ever working class or poor, and then LARP is something they're not in order to try to, shit on the country using these weird external anti-American perspectives. But, hey.
Come from a relatively well-off immigrant family background.
Relatively well-off? Oh my God.
Okay. Their finances are in tatters by the time I get to college, but it doesn't matter.
Their finances are in tatters? What does he even mean? We just lie here? Okay.
Because I basically win the fucking lottery, right?
Yes, that is correct. You did win the lottery. He won the lottery at birth or conception. Like, what?
I'm a business owner. I'm a jobs provider. All of this stuff, right? I'm stimulating the American economy in very meaningful ways. I've made it. I've made it. I'm unbelievably assimilated. So technically...
Oh, new talking point. He has to do the full screen thing whenever he's got like his next speech that he's giving. God, it's so... oh my God, watching his streams like this are so fucking cringe now.
I am everything that these guys are supposed to point to as a success story. But the problem is, I also understand that while I made it, and I'm immensely fortunate, that doesn't mean other people also have an easy go at it. That's the difference. If you make it and you recognize that this is not an opportunity given to everyone else, that it is a lie, that meritocracy is a fucking lie, people lose their goddamn minds. Okay? They lose their fucking minds. Thank you, Close Presence, for the 100 community gifted subs. But that's it.
Kill me, bro.
That's it. If I sat here every day and told you, if I can make it, you can too. Look at how tough my job is. Look at how big of a business owner I am. Like, if I said that, and then I shilled some kind of bullshit course about how you too can also make money, and how the possible...
Wait, so I don't understand. Is he like the American dream, the American story, or was he a Nepo baby who got really lucky and nobody else can do what he did?
Abilities in America are endless. Nobody would be chirping about it. I wouldn't be getting yelled at by liberals. I wouldn't be getting yelled.
It's so cringe, just because I know he's so insecure about his age. The fact that he does this, like all the weird lingo and everything. The fact that he types, somebody pointed this out now and I can't understand it. You notice how when he types on all of, even that YouTube comment that I bet he has an editor that typed that for him, but even that YouTube comment he left in Ryan Getty's video and all of his typing on Twitter, it's always like in all undercase letters. So he's like a hip, cool Zoomer dude or whatever. Oh God.
All that by Republicans. The thing that breaks them is that someone who has actually been tremendously fortunate can be unbelievably honest about that, okay? Luck played a significant role in this every step of the way. Yes, I worked very hard, but it doesn't matter. Luck played a tremendous role in this because I understand that the Oklahoma teacher that has to drive Uber deliveries at night also is working super hard, probably a lot harder than I ever have worked in my life. I am unbelievably lucky. I'm unbelievably privileged. Okay? My point is, we should design a system, especially because we have enough wealth at this point. We have a lot of technological improvements in our lives that have made it easy for people to work less and still have the same output, to have a little bit more autonomy in their lives. We have stuff, okay? We have things already. But what we don't have is stuff necessary for survival, stuff necessary for upward social mobility. We don't have access to housing, healthcare, education all the way up to college. These are the real problems that Americans are facing every day. We have the resources, we don't distribute them evenly. That is my anger. That is my frustration. And when someone who is successful says shit like that, other successful people get very mad. And they're attacked.
Because nobody says this, by the way. This is why I appreciate, at least, like the socialists in society. Nobody in the Democratic Party seems to acknowledge that coming from a different zip code or coming from a different family background can be a massively determining factor, or a massive determining factor on like how successful you're in life. Like, nobody in the United States was ever saying this. Like, it was literally only the socialists that came along to point out that sometimes you have a huge advantage based on your upbringing, or a huge advantage based on the, you know, wealth of your parents and everything, and that sometimes it is really hard for poor people to climb out of the kind of weird cycles of poverty. I'm so glad we finally have socialists pointing this out. Thank God.
Black dogs latch on to it. Anyway. Very frustrating, but who cares?
Franco joins you now. Mr. Franco, thank you for joining me on.
Is this guy 14?
Uncensored.
It's good to meet you, Pierce.
So look, let's just start with the obvious question. When you said not interested in working for a Jew, thanks, what did you mean?
Yeah, well, so coming into it, I intended to always let him know I wasn't interested in working for him after looking at his LinkedIn profile. And I just wanted to see what would happen, to be frank. I was curious what the reaction would be by the Jewish community and by the United States collectively. So,
King.
Right, but I'm not quite sure again why say that?
Because it's fucking epic.
I've had bad experiences with Jews. At Cornell, one of my friends at Virginia Tech as well, before I transferred to Cornell, said we should genocide all Palestinians. We should have done it 50 years ago in one fell sweep so that everyone would forget about it. And then while at Cornell, 2 out of the 3 house managers for the apartment complex I was living in were also Jewish and made up things about me that weren't true and dragged me through the mud. And the university, like the Civil Rights Office, they would drag me through it and make up random statements about me that weren't true to get me in trouble. And they ultimately kicked me out of the house right before finals as well. And so those experiences compounded together for me to say, listen, I don't want to be around you people anymore. You know, you've made my life a living hell, especially when it comes to studying for finals, and you continue to make things up about me. I don't want to work for you. It was as simple as that.
Shrimple as, he says.
There are 15 million Jewish people in the world.
Doesn't matter.
Why would you blame all of them for the actions of a small handful?
I've had bad interactions with all of them.
This is not to say, like I said, I've had good experiences with Jews as well, but I've had enough experiences that were displeasing that I didn't want to be around them. It's just
Wait, who the fuck is this kid? Do we know? Is he just a random canceled kid? It must be. That's why they're on peers, I guess.
Preference, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. You know, if you had a problem with Asian people or midgets, right? Like, you know, let's say you're around 10 midgets, right? And all of them are really mean to you. They step on your feet, right? You're going to say, okay, I don't want to be around you anymore. And if your boss is somehow a midget, you're going to say, listen, I don't want to work for you because you're a midget. It might not be a nice thing to say, but is it really worth losing our marbles over this, like the Jewish community did within America? You know, saying we're going to make this kid unemployable. Let's ruin his life. Let's kick him out of Cornell. I mean, it's really ridiculous.
Okay.
Actually, if you don't mind me saying, what you've just said is more ridiculous, isn't it? I mean, what on earth has this got to do with, as you put it, midgets?
The point being is that if I were to say something about the midget community, like I don't like midgets, I don't want to work for them, nobody would be like, oh my God, this is, you know, crazy, right? They'd be like, okay, you're just an ass.
Of course they would. Of course they would.
I don't think so. I don't think so, Pierce. Listen, if it's a question of was it a nice thing to say, the answer is no. You stated that, and I can agree with that. But another question we have to ask is the reaction equivalent to what I said? You know, we have kids out there saying the N-word on a daily basis.
Well, I'm going to come to that. Hang on. I'm going to come to I'm going to come to that aspect of the story in a minute, because that's where I do have concerns. But I have to say that from everything you said so far, it seems to me you are genuinely anti-Semitic. You don't like Jewish people.
Not the A word.
You just accept that.
So no, because being around and not wanting to be around Jewish people does not mean you don't like them. One of my exes who I dated was half Jewish. So it's not a question of, oh, he's, you know, hating on Jews. Obviously, that's not the case.
Yeah.
The question is do I want to be around them?
Well,
and
wait,
having
sorry,
that bad
it can be. Hang on. It can be. Of course, it can be.
Hang on.
When you say I don't want to be around these people, you're talking about 15 million people, and they are a people who historically,
at least he's
as we
calling
saw
them
in
people.
World War II, have been the victim of the most appalling prejudice and anti-Semitism and genuine hatred that led to 6 million Jews being killed in the Holocaust, for example. So this is not something that should be treated lightly. When you say I don't want to be around these
Not the
people,
Holocaust talking
you are
point again.
sounding like you don't want to be around all Jewish people, unless I'm hearing you wrong.
Listen, there are always exceptions. But the point being is, like, if I don't want to live in New York, that doesn't mean I hate New York. I just don't want to be in New York or be around it. All right.
No, but if you said I don't want to live in New York because I don't want to be around, if you said I don't want to be around New Yorkers, all of them, then you're branding millions and millions of people with the same brush, aren't you?
But what's wrong with that? You know, it's not like I'm hurting them by saying I'm not going to come to New York and give you my business or my labor, right? It's just saying, listen, I have a freedom of association. I don't like New York. I think it's disgusting.
Using
I
the
don't
word
live there,
labor.
right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Can I ask what your family made of your comment?
They said base.
They were not happy. Our views have diverged much over the past 4 years.
They like Jews.
But one thing I'd like to say is
not happy. What did your parents say to you after it? Because obviously you became national news, and for the most egregious of reasons.
I mean,
They said,
there
"Look, we
are
told you
plenty
what would
things,
happen."
plenty more things that we could probably focus on than what a 19-year-old said. But my family and me disagree
He's
on
19,
certain things,
Jesus.
and they were not happy with it. I was not happy that they were collateral in what I said. I mean, my dad had to have his webpage taken down. My mom also had problems with her job. I mean, the scale of this is what I'm saying, right? Is I said something that was immature, right? And not only do I get screwed.
Yeah, but hang on, rewind. The problem, Austin, is not that you said something immature or stupid or anything like that, because had you then said, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said it, I don't mean the way it came across, but it's the opposite with you. You do mean it. You don't want to be around any Jewish people. That's 15 million Jewish people. So therefore you are de facto anti-Semitic. And that puts you in a different category to teenagers who say dumb stuff and then regret it and apologize. You've got no intention of either expressing regret or apologizing. You mean it. You don't want to be around Jewish people.
Yeah, he
You
doesn't give a
brazenly
fuck.
admitted that in this interview. And that changes the context for me about the way that the fallout
Me
was then
after a bad AE
handled
episode.
and the punishment that people have called for. I don't believe in cancel culture, but I do expect people who say incredibly incendiary, anti-Semitic or racist or misogynist things, when it becomes public, to either express regret or say they're sorry or do something to atone for what they've done. You've doubled and trebled and quadrupled down. You've extended your dislike of the Jewish people you were dealing with in your university campus, and you've embraced the entire Jewish population as they want nothing to do with you people. That is racism. That is anti-Semitism. It is an appalling thing to hear a young man say. If you were one of my sons, I'd be utterly ashamed of this. And yet here you are laughing. You think it's all quite funny. I can tell you it's not funny to Jewish people.
He would never.
I believe in freedom of association. That's fundamentally what it comes down to.
See?
You know, you have jocks and nerds in
You
high
don't believe in
schools,
freedom,
and
Putin?
you know the jocks make fun of the nerds all the time because they can't get laid or they can't get a girlfriend, right?
See?
Yeah, it's not a nice thing to say once again, but it's not the end of the world. And just because the jocks don't want to associate with the nerds does not make them bad people. It doesn't make them
yeah, but you're not singling them out for their. You're not singling them out for their
nerds.
Hang on.
Right.
You're not singling them out for their ethnicity, and you don't seem to understand that or care that what you have done is genuinely shocking, and it's shocking to hear you double down now.
So,
I don't understand why you
let
don't
me-
understand that what you said is so egregious.
Let me ask you this: if you don't want to work for someone for whatever reason it may be, maybe you don't like their shirt color, right? Why does it matter? Why does it matter if I don't want to work for a Jew or I could not want to work for a white person?
You made it matter.
No. If I didn't want to work for a white person,
by saying I
would
don't
that
want
be
to
a
work.
problem?
You said I don't. You didn't say that, and you are a
I know
white
I
person.
didn't say
So
that.
it's a completely different
But
thing.
let's take a hypothetical.
If you said I
here.
don't want to work, if you'd said, well, let me ask you a hypothetical, and I don't find this quite as funny as you do, but we'll persevere with this for a while anyway.
Yeah. Oh, the
But if you
midget
said
thing.
I don't
No
want to
way.
work for black people,
Oh.
what would you have thought about that sentence?
You say that's fine.
I treat it the same as if I didn't want to work for a white person or an Asian person or a Latino. Doesn't really
You
matter
are
to me.
white, so it's different. You
Why is it
are a
different?
white person. If you
Can I
had
not
said,
be-
would you have said I don't want to work for a black person?
Yeah.
If I felt that way, yeah.
You wouldn't think that's racist and offensive.
He doesn't give a fuck.
No, because I believe in freedom of association. Things may be unkind to say, but ultimately, it
Oh no,
has
you
the-
can mix with whoever you like. You can mix with whoever you like, but when you commit your thoughts to writing and you send them to third parties and you're being brazenly
if this guy just said
racist,
this about black people, the Republicans would be like, all right, well, hold on.
okay, it's
I hear what
anti-Semitic.
he's saying.
What I find shocking is not that a teenager would do something stupid. It's that a teenager, having had plenty of time to now think about this, who's been national news and been debated by Americans all over the country, should come on an interview like this and just double and treble down as if none of this matters, and that actually be quite proud of your anti-Semitism. I find that very disturbing. And where have you got that from? What's made you so anti-Semitic?
What do you want then? I mean,
what do you want from me?
What is your end goal with this? I mean, if we're not allowed to choose who we want to associate
I want you
with
to
based on
admit. I
whatever
want you to
reason-
admit you're just a brazen anti-Semite.
He already said he doesn't
You
care.
don't like Jewish people. You don't want to associate with Jewish people. Just admit it.
He has.
I can't be a brazen anti-Semite. All right. One, because I've dated Jewish people, so it's clear that I don't
nothing to
hate
do
all
with it.
Jews.
Got him.
Well, it does, right? If I
You've
dated a
literally
Jew, how
said
can
you
I
don't
be
want
an
to associate
anti-Semite?
with any Jewish people.
Problem trophies.
And what's wrong with that?
He's just
Like,
tired of
genuinely,
them.
what's wrong with that? I don't understand. It just seems to be you have these
It makes
emotions
you-
tied up that says if you say
How have
anything,
you been so?
It is kind of a problem that like, I guess that Piers he has his lib face on right now, but like, not being able to explain this at all is a little bit problematic, you know. Like,
What do you mean? Explain this. Like Piers not being able to.
Well, he doesn't. He
explain
can't
it to
really. Well,
him,
why
or
is it bad not to associate with certain people? Like, he
You
doesn't.
wouldn't want people not to associate with you over something you can't control.
Well, sure, yeah, and you don't want racial discrimination to become a more commonplace thing because then you get back into a heavily segregated society. So this is why we don't discriminate on the basis of race and blah blah blah. But the fact that Piers is just like going around in circles. He just keeps saying like, oh, well, you shouldn't do this because it's anti-Semitic, and like, why is it bad? Well, it's
well,
bad
he's
because
trying to
it's
get him also to say like, "Are you an anti-Semite?" He just wants the clip, I guess. I don't
yeah,
know.
he's like he can't really engage with or defend the actual idea of like, well, why is it bad to be racist?
How have you been so poorly educated? Honestly, remember what's happened to your parents here, your family, your friends? And what's allowed
now
you
he's
to
bringing the
develop this
parents.
mindset?
He already said the parents
where you're
disagree
prepared
with
to
him.
just come on a camera like this in an interview watched by millions of people and just brazenly say, I don't want to be anywhere near Jewish people, and not understand the enormity of what you're saying, and have no sense of remorse, no sense of shame, no sense of guilt. You don't give a fuck, do you?
Listen, Pierce, when
Rinlex permanently banned me forever after he banned me for 10 minutes because I linked you a link you already saw. After I got banned for 10 minutes, I said, KYS, you're cringe, and then he perma-banned me. Uh-oh, Hamster Hawk sent an email. Did Rinlex really perma-ban him?
you have a genocidal country
apply to the
that's made up
unbanned
of
form.
90%
Fuck
Jews that insist upon killing Palestinians and reporters and dragging America into wars abroad. No, I'm not going to want to associate with those people. And you're seeing this among the youth. All right, you're seeing with the emergence of America First. And this is a common sentiment that is held. If you think this is just me, you are completely wrong. It might not be held among your children, but it is held among the youth. And I've talked with plenty of people who have come out in support of me, who are tired of these games, all right, playing, going in wars abroad for foreign countries. They're tired of it all. And they're tired of seeing their country destroyed by third worlders, all right? They can't find a job, and they have nothing to lose.
Asmongold fan.
Okay, so just to be clear, what's your view of the war in Iran?
I think we should have no part in it.
Okay, good. So because America's gone to war in Iran, presumably by the same...
Tell him to what?
I was saying, tell him that's where you both agree, Piers. Bring it home.
argument you've just put forward, you would not want to be associated with any American for the decisions taken by this American government. You want nothing to do with any Americans. Is that your position?
No. America is made up of it's a multicultural
Okay,
society.
then you know what, Austin? You know what, Austin? I knew you'd say no, because you're just not only stupid, but you're a massive hypocrite. Because you're blaming 15 million Jews for the decision-making by a prime minister and a government in
Good job,
Israel,
Pierce. You got
which has nothing to do with the vast majority of Jewish people worldwide, many of whom hate it as much as I do. But when the same logic that you've espoused is applied to a war in Iran waged by this American administration, your position is not you want nothing to do with Americans, is it? Because you're a hypocrite.
Is Pierce
And you don't
smurfing
understand
here?
the difference, because frankly, I think you're...
Is he smurfing me?
Is he smurfing here?
What do you mean by smurfing?
Would you say like he's smurfing on this kid?
I don't know what you mean by smurfing.
Like in League of Legends, do you know what smurfing is?
Are you saying that like is Piers Morgan, the 50-year-old British journalist, like obviously
Yes, is he
much more
smurfing on this
politically
kid?
inclined than a 19-year-old?
I just wanted you to say yes, man. That's it.
Yes.
It's fine. Whatever. Who
Yes.
cares?
Yes.
Fuck me, man.
You got
too
him, dude.
wound up in enjoying the ride of being the most famous anti-Semite in America. I just find it incredibly depressing that a young man, given the privilege that you've had to go to a top university, could be this thick, or worse, not care about what you're saying and the consequences to a huge number of people around the world who see a young, arrogant kid who wants to brazenly espouse anti-Semitism in interviews like this. And shame on you, and shame on everyone that has made you like this. And you know what? I was prepared to give you a bit of a fairer hearing about the people calling for you to be cancelled and unemployable and so on. You kind of make yourself unemployable.
I'd like to explain myself, but you keep cutting me off.
I wouldn't employ. Had you said I'm sorry, had you expressed any remorse, had you done any of those things, I'd say, yeah, you know what, you've been dealt a harsh lesson in life, but you've learned your lesson, move on. You haven't learned your lesson, Austin. You've doubled down. You're proud of it. And so for that reason, I don't give a toss what happens to you, frankly. So I don't care. You've explained yourself. You're an anti-Semite and you're a hypocrite. And you know what? Future employers can watch this interview and they can decide if you have the values that they wish to have in their company. Wow. Good luck with that. Good luck with it.
Good job, Piers. You got him.
Thank you.
Okay. Took him out.
Thank you, Piers.
Oh my
Piers
God.
Morgan Uncensored is proudly independent. The only boss around here is me. If you enjoy our show, we ask only one simple thing. Hit subscribe.
Fucking owned
Not looking back at Zoran's campaign, but looking at your current position and occupation, you're now working also as a video editor for Hasan Piker. I guess many of us know him here.
Oh my God, he's a fucking.
I would like to ask you,
That's just a normal Chinese
given
thing,
your
but
current
get over it.
occupation, if you could share, let's say, some insight with us about little practical tricks that you are using together with Hasan, because Hasan has a huge audience, and we'd like to know how you manage to reach out to this audience and what the little tricks, also at a technical level are, or communication-wise, that you use in order to reach that immense, enormous audience. What
do you mean? It's the guy, Eric.
I don't know where Eric is, sir.
Hassan's the guy that we just watched all those videos on earlier?
I said, who's he talking to?
Oh, this is some EU Parliament thing.
Thank you.
People listening, yeah.
Hasan, please, Eric.
Yeah, absolutely. Recently, I have been serving as Hassan's interview producer. We've been producing mini documentaries recently, particularly about the one he went to
Cuba.
I should say,
no,
3 months 2 or 3 weeks ago. He was in Cuba, detailing.
Oh, this guy made the documentary as well.
American embargo on the island, where the United States has cut off oil from being delivered to the island nation just 90 miles off the coast of Florida. And of course, plunging millions of people, almost 10 million people, into complete and total darkness. Of course, they have to do surgeries by phone, flashlight. In the case of working with Hasan, it is in very much so the same spirit as working with Zoran Mamdani, where we have this new set of values, or this new sort of litmus test, where people are going to figure out, whether it's constituents or viewers or just your friends and family, they're very quickly going to figure out what your value set is. And based on whether or not you seem like a half-decent person, they are going to believe the overwhelming majority of stuff that you say.
Yeah, why do you have to do surgery at night? Can't you just do it in the morning? It's like we scheduled the surgery for 2 a.m. and we have no light. Not good.
Hey, if, for example, you're a politician running in the United States in this current moment in time, and you do not support Palestinian liberation or Palestinian resistance, why should anyone trust you when every single day we're being fed videos of children less than 1 year old being bombed with our tax dollars? How in God's green earth are we expected to trust a politician who cannot stand up for a baby, let alone their own constituents? I mean, that is the easiest thing in the world to stand up for. So why would we?
You mean Hasan adopted this guy's cadence?
So it's the exact same thing with Hasan. It is simply a moral framework, a moral structure that we are trying to work within to, of course, gain trust, but also instill a sense of empathy in people. And
have you ever seen the show The Pit? It's pretty good. If you watch it, you know accidents happen in the evening that require surgery as well as during the daytime. No, this is why human beings sleep at night, so we don't get into trouble when there's no light outside.
And if you do get into trouble, it's your own fault because you're outside.
True.
Demonstrate every single day that a better world is indeed possible. And in the exact same capacity, as silly as it is,
major truth bomb, Odin. Good job.
Zoran going to a street food vendor and being like, hey, what are the problems you're facing? And talking with people on the street, talking with the working class New Yorkers and saying, what are the problems you're facing as a working class New Yorker? It is in the exact same vein as going to Cuba and talking with the doctors in Cuba who are unable to perform surgeries on patients with the lights on, who are unable to import medicine from the Western world as a consequence of the American embargo. It is that same exact we're seeking that exact same type of truth and trying to piece together different parts of the material conditions created by the American empire, which we've only really known as this violent, horrible entity that's gone around the world and raped and pillaged and plundered. And now we have the opportunity to shine the light back on ourselves and try to figure out how we can not only fix this, but make the world a better place and try to move on and hopefully do that not just together with the Western world.
I will say this guy is a better speaker than Hasan. Probably. He probably knows history and everything better more, too. Maybe. I don't know.
This guy's way smarter than Hasan.
Yeah, true. Or at least he can speak better. I haven't heard him really speak of much substance, though, so I don't know. It could all just be the propaganda memes. But, wearing, like, a Chinese whatever the fuck this is better than, like, the actual fucking Mao suit. So he's not a fucking retard. I will say that a lot of Hasan, I think, unfortunately... Fuck, that one guy's going to want to come in and scream. But, the more I think about it, the more I do think a lot of Hasan's personal political journey and everything, unfortunately, I really think it does just boil down to his kind of like narcissism, like wanting to be popular and accepted, and this is kind of the thing. This guy does seem a little bit more passionately, ideologically driven. I feel like Hasan kind of follows where he thinks like the big clouded position will be. But I don't know. I could be wrong on that.
It's kind of sad that Hasan has to skinwalk this guy.
Yeah, true.
But rather with the Global South together.
Thank you very much, Eric. I think this is a very important point, the moral structure that you mentioned, because this is like also the backbone of left-wing politics, right? This is what differentiates us from the extreme right, even though sometimes we might use the same emotions, the values and the moral pattern behind it is different, like empathy, solidarity, what you mentioned, also standing at the side of those who are not well off socially and economically.
So thank you to the three panelists, Eric in Shanghai, who talked about Zoran Mamdani's campaign. You explained very clearly about the moral backdrop that you have to paint to reach people. The walk through Manhattan, this was 20 kilometers, was it? You didn't know about the kilometers, but it was a long way. And you have to go the extra mile. That's the whole point. And
he's actually
Eric
in China? Yes, he lives
Zoran
in China, yes.
Were very successful. Today, thank you for giving us of your time. All the best to you in Shanghai.
Was that it?
For your work. A round of applause for Eric, please. We're very happy to have had you here.
Oh, no.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Eric.
Okay. Well, not how I wanted it to go.
I thought I was supposed to give a speech, LOL.
However,
I
wrote a speech, so I'm going to give it anyway. Fuck it. Hi, everyone. My name's Eric Helvium. I'm a political commentator who makes videos on YouTube and on TikTok. In the summer of 2025, I had the incredible privilege of working on a handful of Zoran Mamdani's campaign videos just before the NYC mayoral primary. More recently, I've been producing interviews and mini documentaries for Hasan Piker, who you might know was 2024's finalist for Anti-Semite of the Year for his criticism of Israel. Ever since Zoran's campaign, I've had countless requests from folks on the left asking how we did it. I was just a tiny part of the campaign. The real blood, sweat, and tears were shed by Zoran and his core video team. But any of them will tell you this one simple truth. The videos were nothing without his policies. Take his halalflation video, for example. In New York, there are these food trucks everywhere that sell halal food, which is just usually some variation of chicken or lamb over rice. Historically, it's cost around $7, but more recently, it's been closer to 10 or 11. In the video, with a full mouth, Zoran recognizes the core of the problem, the increased price.
Wow.
And rather than talking about boring procedural nonsense, he joins various workers in the halal carts and asks them why it's gotten so expensive. Every single one of them had the exact same thing to say, that their food vending permit was bought from someone else, not the city. So they had to raise their prices. Zoran goes on to say that the mayor's office has the ability to issue more of these licenses so that parasitic middlemen don't have to jack up the cost of your food. So he promises to issue more of these permits to bring the cost down. Of course, the color grading, the sound, the pacing are all perfect, but the entire thing could have been shot on an iPhone with nearly identical impact. That's because At the core of what this kind of politics represents lies a framework guided by authentic lived experience, not just from Zoran, but the masses who he surrounds himself with every single day.
The masses.
The halal cart food price conversation is one that nearly every working New Yorker has had, which is something that super rich Andrew Cuomo couldn't relate to while he was doing pro bono legal work for war criminals like Benjamin Netanyahu.
Ooh.
Which, of course, brings me to Israel.
Oh,
there is
Here
no
we
secret
go.
recipe that can substitute for Zoran's policies and the physical work he put in as an organizer before his campaign. No one could question his solidarity with Palestine or any oppressed person of the world because he himself spent years in the trenches organizing alongside those very people. In some of the videos, he even spoke their languages. Wow. During his campaign, he stood up for the likes of Palestinian activists like Mahmoud Khalil, demonstrating a set of values that would guide his mayoralty, which I believe started in January of 2026. Zoran is not the end-all be-all of politics inside the imperial core. And I'm sure a lot of this probably feels obvious, and there's no shortcut to a revolution. But we have a moral duty to meet the masses where they are, employ language they can understand without pandering or talking down, and earnestly work every single day, shoulder to shoulder with the people we call our neighbors and our comrades. In the wise words of a chairman who...
What's your main disagreement with DSA policy? I'm not a communist. I think that capital and private investment and ownership of businesses, I think, is a good thing that doesn't have to be dictated or directed by the government. I don't want the government to have to make decisions about what businesses should or shouldn't be allowed to exist in society. Like, the idea that you'd leave it all up to people like this is a little spooky to me. But hey, you know, that's just my inner capitalism speaking.
Who I've come to revere since recently moving to China. We should go to the masses, learn from them, synthesize their experience into better articulated principles and methods, then do propaganda among the masses and call upon them to put these principles and methods
Does the DSA want to completely eradicate private businesses? That is the goal of a socialist society, yes.
To practice so as to solve their problems and help them achieve liberation and happiness. If you're looking for technical video advice from either Chairman Mao or myself, I'm sure we'd both agree that you should use 32-bit float microphones, shoot in open gate 4x3 when possible so you can crop in for vertical on mobile, and use a shallow depth of field to provide a sense of intimacy with your viewer. Prioritize your audio first, your lighting second, and your camera last. Get a whole color grading node tree going.
The EU?
Maybe they were asking for technical details. Fuck, and the guy knows what he's talking about. Ooh, those
That was a
all...
lot, yeah.
I'm sure we'd both agree. If you're looking for technical video advice from either Chairman Mao or myself, I'm sure we'd both agree that you should use 32-bit float microphones, shoot in open...
I think the higher bit on microphones just allows you more variance in volume.
And gate 4x3 when possible, so you can...
4x3 is... People are filming and optimizing for mobile more. 4x3 is better than 16:9, even though that's typically what we think of, because the narrower you're shooting, the easier it is to crop for mobile. This
crop
is
in
true.
for vertical on mobile, and use a shallow depth of field to provide a sense of intimacy with your viewer. Prioritize your audio first, your lighting second, and your camera last.
This is true. Too many people buy expensive cameras and don't know what to do with them, and nothing is a substitute for good. Audio is a necessary. If you're going to be doing anything online, you have to have good audio. It's so frustrating to hear a podcast or whatever today still, where it's like the microphones aren't good, something is fucked up. And then audio, and then lighting, and then camera, yeah. True.
Get a whole color grading node tree going in DaVinci Resolve if it really tickles your fancy. And
Fuck
maybe,
that.
just a little bit more importantly,
Make
we
sure
gotta
your
prioritize
message-
getting our message across in whatever form feels real to people. I can't tell you what exactly that will be in every single country or county or district, but that's your job, to go to the masses and find out exactly why they're pissed that their weekly lamb over rice plate has gone up $3 in the past year, yet their salaries have not. Which brings me to what I believe is the most important takeaway from any of this. Those who we call our neighbors, or our comrades, must not be segregated by an artificial line that some pedophile drew up 100 years ago. We must acknowledge the material history that led to our respective countries accruing the wealth we have today. Until we reckon with the fact the streets of Brussels are paved with the blood of 10 million Congolese, the Louvre is filled with the trophies pillaged from the rest of the African continent, and the name Wall Street is derived from the barrier that violent settlers built to keep out indigenous people in New York before exterminating the rest of the indigenous population, we will continue falling into the same traps that have allowed the space for reactionaries to dominate the politics over the past few decades. We cannot start caring about the consequences of capitalism simply because it's finally reached us on our own soil. Of course, this isn't a revelation that some idiot YouTuber like myself invented. Look no further than the pleas of a young Nguyen Ai Quoc, who, in front of the French communists, demanded deeper international solidarity with the very colonies whom they had raped, pillaged, and plundered. He quoted Lenin on the need for workers inside the imperial core to help liberation movements in subject nations, and went on to profess, unfortunately, There are still many militants who think a colony is nothing but a country full of sand with the sun shining down, a few green coconut trees, and some colored men, and that's all. His calls were largely overlooked, which allowed him... His calls were largely overlooked, which led him to the Soviet Union and eventually back home, where, under the name Ho Chi Minh, he led the liberation of his people against the French and American imperialist dogs. Thank goodness he was capable enough to move beyond the closed-minded nationalism that turned its back on the workers outside their own borders. Europe is at an interesting crossroads at the moment. It's unclear who leads it, whether it is a state or just a loosey-goosey international finger-wagger, or if it truly has the potential to work together to improve the world, not just for Europe, but for everyone, not just a handful of folks who are Zionist pedophiles and best friends with Jeffrey Epstein. I hope that you share my belief that the United States is currently the most belligerent, violent empire in the modern day.
True.
Thankfully, for the first time since the illegal dissolution of the Soviet Union, China's offered a new...
What? Okay.
Multipolar path forward.
Multipolar.
We can't be so naive as to overlook the various isms that prevent us from cooperating with our eastern or southern neighbors. The leader who is able to effectively link Rwanda's theft of coltan from Congolese slaves owned by Western mining corporations with the Western worker struggling to afford lamb over rice will have the heart of the world at their fingertips. For better or for worse, America's and Israel's genocide of Palestinians is starting to make things a little clearer for those who have otherwise felt left out of politics. A politician's stance on Israel now serves as a litmus test for their values. If my state senator lacks the humanity to end the bombing of children in refugee camps with my tax dollars, what moral clarity could they possibly exercise when something not nearly as bad happens to me at home? After all, a man who stands for nothing will fall for anything.
Wow.
Every pixel you get on a 4-inch screen in front of someone's eyes is an opportunity to open a new mind and a new heart. Left-wing ideas might sound scary at times. Maybe it's just a dumb American thing, but almost no one you're going to talk with understands what dialectical materialism is. But they do know that the rent is higher, the metro is more expensive, their lamb over rice has gone up $3. It's your job to figure out why, explain it clearly, and work with them to fix it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know,
What does he think about Tibetan stuff? Somebody link this. What is this?
Future. And listen, I hear what you're saying. Eric, what about the Uyghurs? What about Taiwan? What about Tibet? And frankly, each of these deserve their own video to express the nuance around the respective situations. But just on a human level, like as a dude, I feel sorry for the Uyghurs being used as a pawn by the CIA to foment unrest.
True.
I feel bad for the people of Taiwan who overwhelmingly do not want to be independent, but are caught in the crosshairs of America's violent foreign policy.
And we are so grateful that Hong Kong has been brought back in under the fold. Thank you, glorious China. True.
And I feel the worst for the people of Tibet, who were literal slaves up until they were recently liberated.
By China!
None of these stories are black and white, but you know, if you live in the US or the West more broadly, you and I have been subjected to a lot of CIA revisionist propaganda that's only now getting its own Wikipedia pages. Hopefully, I'll be able to visit all three of these regions over the next year or two and try to scrape together better anecdotal experience to answer these big questions. But the reality is, the truth is much more than what the Heritage Foundation has pumped into your drinking water, or even worse, into your children's textbooks.
True.
With all that being said, I plan on being in and out of Shanghai for at least the next 2 years. If there's anything you'd like to see in China, feel free to drop a comment below. Make sure you're subscribed, ring the bell, all of those good things. If you'd like to check out a full room tour, maybe even a house tour if I'm feeling like doxing myself,
that'd be sick.
Go check out my Patreon. I'll have it linked down below in the description. And if you're a content creator who's looking to collaborate while you're here in China, feel free to shoot me a DM on Twitter or whatever.
I wonder if this is the guy that set all those trips up.
For other platform you can find me on. More videos to come soon, and as always, thank you for watching. As they say here in China, au revoir and bye-bye. Actually though, like all the clips that I put in the beginning of this video were actually from either Shanghai or one of the adjacent cities. They're Chinese. A lot of Chinese cities look very French. I don't really understand it. I mean, Shanghai used to be part of like France, sort of, is like the French concession. Which is, it's going to be a whole, I'm going to make a whole video about it. It's fucking crazy. Like,
Tell us what happened.
The amount of like French influence in the city is kind of wild. And also, I recently learned, I don't know why I'm rambling. We've been going on for so long at this point. I recently learned that part of China was colonized by Germany, which is why they have beer, Qingdao. It was a whole city. The Germans fucking captured it.
Damn.
Anyway, fuck Germany, fuck France, fuck Britain.
Hell yeah, China.
Free Palestine.
Yes.
If you look at the coast of Southern California, you'll find...
Well, I don't know if I can stomach this. Ugh.
Imagine buying...
Also, this lady, wait. Oh, man. I'd never seen Francesca Hong speak before. The personality is more of a liability than DSA, which is bad enough. Isn't this an older clip? I don't remember. I think I've seen this before.
Why do you believe that the police must still exist?
Still exist? Because the reality of this moment and in the types of public safety systems that we have, I want us to be sensible and realistic, but we know now that the billions invested in the criminal legal system is not working.
It's so funny that sometimes they're like very critical of candidates that feel like they were grown in a lab. Especially watching her in that debate, I hardcore get the impression that this person was literally invented in like a laboratory for us to all for Zoomers to soy out about.
Spend that the billions invested in the criminal legal system is not working. We are spending on incarcerating an individual more than tuition for UW-Madison. That this is about making sure that local law enforcement is working with community, that we are taking resources from the state and investing in things like public education, victim services, out of school programs for our kids to go and have a great be able to be themselves. These are things that data and facts have shown that prevent crime. Again, if you want to be tough on crime, you better be tough on causes.
Do you still long-term want to abolish police? But ultimately?
I believe that we have to be serious about public safety, and I'm going to be a governor that is more serious than anyone else in making sure that we are building systems of care, that we are focusing on lowering crime, getting guns off of our street, and making sure that folks who are incarcerated, which 90% of those folks will be going back to community, that we're lowering recidivism rate. And it's appalling to me that for folks who are working within our prisons, they have some of the highest suicide rates of any job and occupation. So this system is not working. If we want to be serious, we better be putting these billions into the things that we know prevent crime.
Would you care to clarify?
Damn, is she really going to win in the general against the Republican? That's a spooky one. Taylor Lorenz drama. Hasan's audience not vibing with her AI takes. And older drama. She becomes a pro-Pally activist for not wearing, or shames a pro-Pally activist for not wearing a mask. Oh, I saw this. People got real mad over this because she wasn't wearing a mask. She got mad about her not wearing a mask, and then the lefties got real mad at her for shaming a pro-Palestinian activist. It was a bunch of just drama slop.
For daring to attack the left.
True.
Your kid a toy only to...
Mamdani. To me, this is like Arab, he's Arab Josiah to me. He's so perfect in some ways, and then in other ways it's like...
You mean Mehdi?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said Mamdani.
Oh, Mehdi is Arab Josiah for me, yeah.
Find the batteries aren't included. Or buying furniture, but it's missing the tools to build it. Frustrating, right? Now imagine that exact same feeling, but you're paying way more. That is what buying business software usually feels like. Fragmented, disconnected, incredibly expensive.
He's Indian? Oh, okay, whatever the fuck. It's all the same to me. I'm an American, okay?
Completely changes
I don't see color.
Odoo is a complete, fully integrated business suite where all your apps actually talk to each other. We're talking automated lead routing for your sales team, seamless AI integration, and an intuitive point-and-click website builder. It's everything your business needs to scale, saving you time.
You didn't even say Mamdani, you said Mehdi? Oh, well, fuck you, Mutin. Stop trolling me.
Stop piecing your software together. Go to odoo.com/not kidding. That's odoo.com, odoo.com/not kidding to learn more. How is it that a 34-year-old Turkish-American socialist Twitch streamer is now a kingmaker in the Democratic Party of the United States?
I think this is a much larger movement. I don't think anyone is a kingmaker.
Do you believe that the rise of socialism in America is a supply issue or a demand issue?
It's both.
If Abdul El-Sayed wins, will you take some credit?
No.
If he loses, will you take some responsibility?
I think that this race will shock the world.
You are a lightning rod. Is it weird for you to be hearing all these prominent Democrats just using you as the punch bag? I was on the PBD podcast.
Yeah, Patrick cooked you.
Yeah, Patrick cooked me, okay.
There is power in shamelessness. Donald Trump has proven that.
We got to talk about a big topic, and that is a man named Tucker Carlson.
He's a phenomenal communicator, and that's what makes him so dangerous.
I don't believe JD Vance believes anything sincerely.
JD Vance is on janitorial duty right now.
The Bill Maher, Joe Rogans, they do this free speech champion stuff. They don't have people who come on and disagree with them or call them out.
Zoran has done a pretty good job, but in ways that annoy me sometimes. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude.
Are we really gonna end the show on you saying, shut the fuck up, Zoran, I'm done?
I mean, come on.
What a twist.
They're gonna arrest me as soon as I get out of this podcast if you keep talking about this.
I'm Mehdi Hasan.
I'm Hassan Piker.
And we're not kidding. This is our podcast where I get to talk to funny people about serious things, but also funny things too, I hope. Hassan Piker, welcome to the show.
It's an honor to be here.
It's an honor to be here. It's taken ages to get you on the show.
I know.
Get you in DC.
I hate being in DC.
Well, you're here now. You miss LA?
No, it's not that I love LA. I mean, I do like LA. That's why I live there. But I feel like every time I'm in this town, the aura of evil is so palpable. Like, it's a beautiful city. There are phenomenal people that live here, but then it's just overshadowed by the metric ton of evil that you experience and you feel on a daily basis. Like, I'm staying at a hotel and I'm walking around and I'm looking around. I'm like, there's like war criminals here right now.
That's you humble bragging that you're staying at a really nice hotel.
That's not what my intention was with
That's how it came across. It's good to see you in town. This is our casual podcast. You're very dressed up, but you dress up a lot these days. You're in a suit. I see you. I thought you'd be in a suit today. What is this Chairman Mao outfit you're rocking?
This is a Zhongshan suit.
Even he gone now.
So this is a traditional Chinese suit. When they initially, in China, I think it was like the
my
nationalists
God,
as well,
he's
originally
so
started
cringe.
dressing up in a more Western style. And this was like that first iteration of it. And when I went to China in Shanghai, I met this tailor who came from this long lineage who actually invented the Zhongshan suit. So I made them make me one, and I really liked it.
They made it in the time you were in China?
They made it while I was there, yeah. But then I liked it so much, they already had my sizes, so I was like, send me another one.
This is going to be like the part of a U.S. Treasury Department investigation to Hassan Piker's ties to China. His suits.
Yeah. Do you want to get into that? We can get into all of that.
We'll get into a lot of things
There's a
today.
lot going on that front.
Well, hold on. Is there a lot going on that front? Because last time you were on
Not
the
in my
podcast, you were on Beyond Israelism with Simone Zimmerman not too long ago.
Yeah.
It was shortly after Fox were talking about you being investigated by the Justice Department, apparently. Has anything come of that?
No.
Okay, good.
But I do think that there is a broader like RICO that they're trying to establish for the entire left movement and whatever they can like add on as different tentacles to it. So I haven't even received a subpoena from the Treasury Department, and that investigation seemingly has gone really nowhere. But I think the ultimate goal of that investigation, as I clocked early on, was not necessarily to come after people like myself. I think we're secondary. They just want to establish like a big racketeering case around probably Roy Singham.
This is one of the funders of Code Pink.
Yeah, he's just a centimillionaire who sold his company. He's a radical guy. He sold his company to Microsoft, made a lot of money, and then just moved to China. And he's been an activist for a very long time. I've never met the guy. I just knew of him and knew that he had fundraised a lot, or he'd funded a lot of political organizations that like helped him get started. And
He's just like Trump, by the way.
Yeah. The Roy Singham guy is also, I think, very directly connected to that Eric dude or whatever that Hassan is now getting training from.
American government doesn't like that at all.
I said this recently on a stream that Donald Trump continues to morph into George W. Bush by the day. We've had a big presentation at the White House with CIA intel about the election since that felt very 2003. The CIA says China interfered in our election, which it doesn't say, by the way. And then, of course, the bombing of Iran, the embrace of neocons, and now the constant. You saw Stephen Miller and Marco Rubio's deranged speeches the other day talking about left-wing terrorism and cracking down on the left. They are very worried about the rise of the left. There is a rise of the left. You've been part of it. You've been identified.
I don't know what you're talking about. I'm a patriotic American. I am
small C conservative.
I'm small C conservative. I always say the freer the markets, the freer the people.
You always say that.
I always say that. I also say, socialism only works in theory until you run out of other people's money.
People can't see off camera. We've got Ayn Rand books piled up. To read on your flight.
No, I'm such a small C conservative. I'm illiterate now. I leaned in fully. I forgot how to read and write
because of the elite literature industry.
Yeah, because I hate. Yeah, reading is woke and gay.
Why were you in New York on the night of the Democratic primaries? I was enjoying yourself with all these wins that we saw in New York. You were there. We saw you there.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Must have been somebody else.
Brad Lander, Melat Kiros, who was just on your stream, who won in Colorado. All these lefties, or almost all of these lefties who are winning. There is a link to you. You've backed them. You've public talked. Some of them you've campaigned with. How is it that a 34-year-old Turkish-American socialist Twitch streamer is now a kingmaker in the Democratic Party of the United States? Liking this video? Then don't just watch. Hit like, share, and subscribe. And tap the bell so you never miss a video or live show. But if you want early access to exclusive content, then you have to head to zeteo.com and subscribe now. You'll be supporting fearless, independent journalism.
Well, first of all, I don't think I'm a kingmaker. I think this is a much larger movement. I don't think anyone is a kingmaker. I don't think Zoran is a kingmaker.
An appropriately modest answer.
No. I'm not even demonstrating humility. I'll take ownership over some of those victories, where I feel like I've made the most impact, right? Where I feel like maybe even some of these races are overlooked. But ultimately, this is a real movement that we've been working to build for the last decade or so. I think from failure after failure, every single time people have gone back to the drawing board and figured out new ways of reaching as many people as possible. I'm a firm believer that there is no such thing as a spontaneous revolution, and I think that we have to be organized, we have to be disciplined, and we have to be ready for when the moment comes when people start recognizing that the system is fundamentally flawed.
And I'll come back to system, just on you before we move on.
Yeah.
Clearly you played a role, even if you're not a kingmaker.
Yeah.
Is that a role you saw yourself when you were making videos for TYT, when you were in college, you moved here from Turkey? Do you see yourself as the Twitch gaming streamer guy who's also dabbling in national and international politics?
Yes and no. Like I always had a lot of hubris. I think I always thought.
Okay.
Yeah, I always.
Oh my God! I'm the most Humble, actually.
Thought that I was destined for something, right? I don't know what.
Oh, he said hubris, not humble. Sorry.
But it was, and I just kind of go along with the wind. But I did not think that I would have this much impact. I did not think that we would get to a point where the overwhelming majority of Americans are pro-Palestine, for example.
I never imagined that.
Yeah, so there have been dramatic shifts in public consciousness, and I'm honored to have played a small role in that, as you have as well. But I just did not think that the broader shifts would happen in general.
And it's not just a shift on Palestine. We'll come to Palestine. Just sticking with socialism. That was a dirty word until very recently. The S word.
Yeah.
I mean, going back to FDR, people were calling FDR a socialist. People were calling Truman a socialist. Truman famously said, whatever, call me whatever you want. The S word has had a lot of value for Republicans. I feel like they overused it, right? When they throw it everywhere, if Obama's a socialist, if Joe Biden's a socialist, if Kamala Harris is a socialist, communist apparently, Marxist, then when the real socialists come along, people are like, oh, Bernie Sanders and Zoran Mamdani, they don't seem so bad. And I wonder, you should talk about free market principles. Do you think the
which
rise
I admire and adore.
We both love. Do you believe that the rise of socialism in America is a supply issue or a demand issue? Is it being led by? Is it because you have all these people pushing it now, and people are like, wow, we like Zoran Mamdani, we like this Claire Valdez, we like Bernie and AOC, or is it a demand issue from the public just saying we are fed up with this broken system? Give us something else.
It's both.
Okay.
It can't be one or the other.
It's in the moment.
Yeah, that's why I said that.
Such a smart
There's always
answer.
going to be ideologues. There's always going to be fighters.
It's all of the things.
There's a severe crisis in class consciousness in this country. My understanding, or our understanding on the broader left, is that class war happens, right? It's already happening. It's happening all the time. And there is a group of people that are class conscious, and there's a group of people who aren't. It's the billionaires, the capital-owning class that are class conscious and waging class war, albeit very successfully. And a part of that is that the working class are oblivious to their position. They are unaware that they're being screwed over by the system that has been designed in a way to create these unjust outcomes, because it's very beneficial for the capital-owning class. So my goal always has been to first and foremost foment class consciousness amongst the masses and help people recognize their class position. And
I thought Mehdi was a harsh interviewer. I mean, it depends on the show. I think this is like his friendly, chill show, not like his go fucking balls to the wall fucking show.
Realize that the real dividing line is around those who are of the working class and being exploited versus those who are in the billionaire, millionaire, capital-owning class that are doing the exploitation, and not on these different lines, like these ethnic tensions, racial divisions around your gender identity, your sexuality, and vice versa.
You and I are not working class, or from working class backgrounds. Are we class traitors?
To a certain degree, yes.
I don't know Mehdi's story. Hasan is not from a working class background. Hasan is clearly from an ultra wealthy capital background, but okay.
I don't really own a business necessarily. Like everything I do, I'm like owned and operated by myself. But yeah, I mean,
do now.
I know you were on Patrick Bet David.
Everything is owned and operated by, like, it's so funny too, because they take positions. This is like, in some ways, this is like the stereotype of how a capitalist will attack a socialist. Like, even if what he's saying is true, there are definitely people that work with him and everything, but even if what he was saying was true, like, wouldn't you rather have somebody who was expanding their empire in such a way that they could like hire people who could have jobs, who could do things that they like you could pay them a really good wage, right? Could you not do that? And it's like, no, actually, it's better not to have a business at all and not to do anything with any of my money and to keep it all in my savings account and to not have any employees ever because that's unethical. And it's like, it's fucking retarded.
And he called you out for it. He was like, how can you say you're a socialist? I love Patrick.
We'll come back to Patrick. We're going to talk about Patrick Bet David.
Okay.
But while we're on the subject of lefty candidates, the rise of socialism, actually, a candidate who is not a socialist but is running a very lefty campaign is Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, running a very progressive insurgent campaign in the.
Can authentic/genuine/honest people ever possibly win against people who can lie with this much shame? Yes, but our big failure, unfortunately, is the media. It requires the. Mehdi said they both aren't working class. I thought he said they were from working class backgrounds but aren't working class right now. Did I misunderstand that? The issue is that if you don't have a journalist who's willing to ask tough questions to hold them accountable, then all hope is kind of lost because people just watch what's on TV in front of them. And I don't even blame them. It's like it's hard to do all the fucking research and everything. So I think it was the other way around.
This necessarily, like everything I do, I'm like owned to a certain degree, yeah. And these different who are on foremost because being in a part. Last war, there's a severe crisis that there's always going to be ideologues. There is a group of people who are, albeit very successfully, and a part of that is that the working class are oblivious to their position. They are unaware that they're being screwed over by the system that has been designed in a way to create these unjust outcomes, because it's very beneficial for the capital-owning class. So. My goal always ethnic tensions, racial divisions around your gender identity, your sexuality, and vice versa.
You and I are not working class, or from working class backgrounds. Are we class traitors?
To a certain degree.
You and I are not working class, but we're from working class backgrounds?
And vice versa.
You and I are not working class, or from working class backgrounds.
Oh, or from working class backgrounds. Oh, okay. Gotcha. So he does say that. Oh, damn. But Hasan doesn't even correct him on that, because Hasan very clearly on his stream says that he does count as working class because he's not a capital owner. But I guess Hasan is in simp mode, so he's going to be nice and not correct on anything. Okay.
Are we class traitors?
To a certain degree, yes. I don't really own a business necessarily. Like everything I do, I'm like owned and operated by myself. But yeah, I mean,
do now.
I know you were on Patrick Bet David, and he called you out for it. He was like, how can you say you're a socialist? I love Patrick.
We'll come back to Patrick. We're going to talk about Patrick Bet David.
Okay.
But while we're on the subject of lefty candidates, the rise of socialism, actually, a candidate who is not a socialist but is running a very lefty campaign is Abdul El Sayed in Michigan, running a very progressive insurgent campaign in the Senate Democratic primary there, a key swing state. You've been stumping hard for him. You've campaigned for him. You look at the polls this week, Hasan. The polls are interesting. They're kind of all over the place. You have a Detroit News poll that shows Haley Stevens, the centrist establishment pro-Israel candidate, the sitting congresswoman, at 48%, and Abdul El Sayed at 41%. And then you have a data from...
Imagine, like, that's your summary of a candidate, the pro-Israel candidate. Oh, my God.
The centrist establishment pro-Israel candidate, the sitting congresswoman, at 48%, and Abdul El Sayed at 41%.
The most important
And then you have a Data
positions.
for Progress poll that has, I think it's an internal Abdul poll, which shows him at 54% and Stevens at 41%. How are you reading these mixed polls? Are you worried?
So both of those, no, I'm not. Both of those polls are technically should be read as internal polls. So Data for Progress comes from, I think, a super PAC, and the Detroit one, the Glenn Gariff one, is actually a poll that has overestimated Haley Stevens' chances the entire time and actually endorsed Haley Stevens. So both are favorable polls to the respective partners. Having said that, I think what's more important than poll watch, which can show you the trend, is looking at the number of small dollar donations, looking at the on the ground excitement, and
On the ground excitement,
I think
like
those
what Bernie
are
Sanders
far
had?
better markers of who will inevitably win elections. At least in my experience, that's what it's looked like every single time. And we've had a couple upsets. Melak Kiros and Dalia Liza are the two big upsets that I think a lot of people were not expecting.
And they didn't even win narrowly; they won comfortably.
Yeah. Dalia Liza was like the closer one, and she was still, I believe, up 5 points against the
Well,
incumbent.
this race is clearly going to be close, and no one expected otherwise, especially after Mallory McMorrow, the third candidate, pulled
We'll
out.
see.
You don't think it's going to be close?
I think
You heard it here first, folks.
I think that this race will shock the world.
Oh,
yeah, that's what I think.
I mean, they are throwing a lot of money now into this race. Obviously, the UDP, the United Democracy Project, which is AIPAC's PAC, super PAC, has spent $15 million in recent weeks. New York Times has a number of $28 million total from AIPAC or its affiliates just for Haley Stevens. They're spending 10 times as much on TV ads as Abdul El Sayed right now. We know the power of TV ads in a lot of these primary races. What do you make of the money that's being spent in this race? And especially AIPAC, of course. But now we're on to sensitive territory because you say AIPAC because, you're being anti-Semitic conspiracy theorists, even though AIPAC themselves bragging about how much money.
Yeah, so sensitive. Yeah, especially on this show. Whoo, I'd be real nervous if I was these guys bringing up stuff about hating Jews because, man, you know that they're going to get huge pushback from the political arena that they're inhabiting. Oh, my God. Wow, so brave, so brave, so brave. Clap.
Yeah, I mean, it makes total sense. AIPAC has done this already with Wesley Bell. AIPAC did this against Jamal Bowman as well, and those were primary races for the House of Representatives, right? Like, the Senate seat is far more consequential. There's less senators, more powerful. It's the upper chamber. And I think it's terrifying that there is an avowed anti-Zionist, pro-Medicare for all, anti-corporate PAC expenditure candidate out there who is a Bernie-crat through and through. They don't want that.
So many buzzwords.
And when I say they, I don't mean just AIPAC. I mean all of these other big
Wealthy
corporations
elites.
definitely are terrified. And that's precisely the reason why the total expenditure, outside expenditure so far has been around $54 million.
Insane
Haley
numbers.
Stevens is a non-entity on the ground. She every now and then she pops up and does a couple safe events.
And even at the safe events, she says some weird stuff. And if you
Well,
say
now,
it's weird,
now you're
being misogynistic.
You're being you're being a classic woman-hating Muslim, which is what I think because I'm a small C
Well,
conservative.
they've said it about Abdul. They've said it about
Yeah.
you. They'll say it about me. In my defense, I call a lot of Republicans weirdos. I call a lot of Democrats weirdos.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to describe someone who says Israel comes to me in my dreams as. other than a
You know
weirdo.
what I call them? The next senator from Michigan, because I love all of that. That's my favorite type of
Abdul El
politics.
Sayed recently tweeted, Hassan, it's become impossible to ignore the way that people online make fun of my opponent for things that have nothing to do with their policies or politics. It's unkind and unhelpful. If you support me, please stop. Some people say he's talking about you.
That's Shannon Watts saying that. No, I don't think he's talking about me because he could talk
Do you
to
agree
me.
with that sentiment?
No.
I agree with the sentiment, but I also disagree with it at the same
He
time.
shouldn't
I
have tweeted
agree
it.
that, and I
Always
even
be
brought this
attacking.
up before he even tweeted that out, like a couple days prior to this, where I was like,
Always
I
be
think
attacking.
people are focusing a little too much on how folksy Haley Stevens is, right? And what people should be.
Am I crazy, or did Hasan not spend like 5 minutes making fun of the way she speaks? Did we watch that on stream? Hello? Good I'm sure Mehdi will fact check him on this, though.
Focusing a little too much on how folksy Haley Stevens is, right? And what people should be focusing on instead is how utterly devoid of policy her campaigning has been, and also how bought and
what?
They should be focusing on she's a genocider.
True. But he was literally, we watched the whole thing of him like making fun of her fucking accent like crazy. Yeah.
sold she is to AIPAC and numerous other corporations. Like, those are the real problems here. That's why Abdul
that's
should
unique
win.
to Haley Stevens, because whatever you think of Mallory McMorrow, she didn't have as bad a record or as much outside spending. Like, there's a difference between Mallory McMorrow and Haley Stevens.
Mallory McMorrow called Haley Stevens out a lot during her campaign. So I agree with him on that front. What I disagree with him in principle is leaning in any way, shape, or form, or conceding in any way, shape, or form to bad faith attacks.
Because they never accept those.
That's not.
They just want more.
It actually backfires because what ends up happening.
You see how annoying it is for the lib shit, right? How I had so many fucking people, waving their fingers at me, and how irresponsible my rhetoric was. And remember, my rhetoric was Donald Trump should disavow the violence first, and that was a bridge too far. for fucking a lot of people in my fucking community even, right? But when you listen to, if anybody can link the Megyn Kelly clip, if you know what I'm talking about, link that and we can watch that. And then Hasan talking here. Every other person understands exactly what I was talking about and all these other political factions. But the libs were not allowed to participate or understand in the way that all these people do. And then everybody just gets sucked into it.
And I gave this, I gave.
Why is AIPAC spending so much? I don't know if they're spending now as more than it has been, but also I wouldn't trust any AIPAC spending number because a lot of these guys don't track AIPAC expenditures. They track anybody spending money that's even remotely related to AIPAC ever, and it ends up not being remotely close to anything in reality. So.
Advice to Democrats. It's free advice on my stream all the time during the 2024 election as well, where I was never apologize for something you don't have to apologize for. Never accept your opposition's framing.
Agreed.
And if you ever do apologize for
There it
something,
is.
your opposition is going to take that in bad faith
Yep,
and then
there
say,
it is.
see, they're taking ownership over it. So
There
now
it
all of a
is.
sudden it's a story.
Yep.
If Abdul had said nothing, maybe there would be some articles about it. Maybe they would constantly try to get him to address it, and then Abdul could come across as saying,
Everybody else understands this except for the libs for some reason.
the real story here, I don't necessarily have anything to say about the way Haley Stevens sounds. I think it's silly. What the real story is how devoid of policy she is.
Democrats should not be on the defensive. The left is often in a defensive posture, often appeasing bad faith actors.
And now Mehdi is going to do, because he's naive, I think, or maybe, and doesn't understand how different the sides are. Now he's going to be like, but shouldn't we do this just to be better? Mehdi's going to give the lib answer. Maybe.
Denying things they shouldn't have to deny. I'm always reminded of that apocryphal story of LBJ. Apocryphal story that LBJ is running for Congress in Texas early on in his career, and he tells his team about his primary opponent, you should put it out there, he's a farmer, and he said, you should put it out there that he fucks his pigs.
Oh, yeah.
And his team so we can't say that he doesn't fuck his pigs. And he says, yeah, I know that. I just want to hear him deny it.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the classic kind of the bad faith approach to politicking. On that note, there have been a number of attack ads
never
on
mind.
this, and I'm sure you've seen them. On El Sayed, actually, on Abdul, featuring you. There was a mailer that says El Sayed embraced a podcaster that said America deserved 9/11. And then there's commercials like this one. We have a clip.
Oh, there's a commercial.
Meet Abdul El Sayed.
I'm the worst on the stage, he said it. And I have the words to say it, I apologize.
And that's not all. Abdul campaigned with anti-Israel radical Hassan Piker.
What do you say to that?
I think that's the Republican attack ad that they put out because they're trying to Pied Piper it, which is really funny. Because that's not a real attack ad. That's a promotional piece. You know how they.
Yes.
Hillary Clinton did this with Donald Trump, which as we know backfired spectacularly.
If Abdul El Sayed wins, will you take some credit?
No, I'll just say the same thing I've always been saying, which is.
So he's saying that this is a Republican that ran a quote unquote attack ad, but it was really just to make Abdul look better to the people that hate Israel or whatever. Which
That's
I
what
think
he's
he's
saying.
actually correct there. Yeah, he's even open about it.
This is a broader movement, and
If he loses, will you take some responsibility?
Absolutely not.
I was trying to check for consistency. That's a very consistent answer.
Yeah.
Look, you are a lightning rod in a way that it's happened very fast. I've known you for many years, and in the last couple of years, especially post October 7th, post the 2024 election, you become this lightning. We went through a weird roller coaster where after the 2024 election, is this the left Joe Rogan? I was like, how many fucking profiles are we going to read about Hassan Piker?
Yeah.
It's like every time I open the New York Times or New York Magazine or whatever it is, there's a glossy profile of you working out somewhere, not in a Chinese suit.
Yeah.
And then it changed quite quickly into you are evil personified. You are this anti-Semite. Since earlier this year, just this year, Mallory McMorrow, who we mentioned a moment ago, compared you to Nick Fuentes, the Nazi, called you misogynistic and anti-Semitic. Josh Gottheimer, congressman from New Jersey, said all elected officials should condemn your rhetoric. Andrew Cuomo, remember him? He said that Zoran Mamdani sat on the debate stage. I don't know if you're watching that live debate. I wonder when you heard your name.
I knew it was going to happen.
Mamdani should condemn Hassan Piker, he said. Neera Tanden, former Obama and Clinton official, now head of the Center for American Progress, said AIPAC would spend $50 million to defeat any candidate campaigning with Hassan Piker. I'm definitely against super PAC money, but let's get real. Is it weird for you to be hearing all these prominent Democrats just using you as the punch bag?
No, it's expected. I think I'm the perfect guy to draw all of their enmity. I'll draw all the aggro. I can tank it. I've been in a very
I seek out.
This has happened suddenly in your life. Like for 33 years, you were just like a streamer, and at 34th year, you're the enemy of the Democratic Party establishment, and they hate you.
Yeah, but the hatred is coming from the success of this movement. So who cares? Let them hate. I don't care about what they think of me. I just want to win. I want to win for the working class, and I want to make sure that we have real fighters that get elected.
So a lot of the attacks on you are clearly bad faith and bullshit. A lot of the attacks on you are because you're anti-Israel and anti-Zionism. If you weren't, they wouldn't care what you said on your streams. Let's just be real about that. At the same time, there is no denying that you've said some stuff that's pissed a lot of people off in good faith. People who are not hardcore supporters of Israel. I watched your appearance on Simone Zimmerman's Beyond Israelism podcast. If you don't watch Beyond Israelism, tune in. A Great Today podcast. Hassan was on the show. And I heard you say to Simone, it's like, Mehdi's always texting me about these clips of mine. And I do clips you because I don't watch or stream as religiously as everyone else. I don't have 8 free hours of the day. But I do see these clips. People send this to me because I end up, A, being associated with you because we're both critics of Israel in the media. B, we're both called Hassan. And C, I go on a lot of these podcasts. I was on the PBD podcast. And they brought you up. But before we get to that, just to deal with some classics. Sorry, I know you've gone through as well. But
Patrick cooked you.
But Patrick cooked me, okay.
Let me give you layups on all these real
The
quick.
classic one they throw you. America deserved 9/11. You've withdrawn that comment, I believe.
Yeah, I said it in 2019, and if you listen to the full conversation, you very quickly understand what I'm talking about.
You're talking about foreign policy blowback.
Yeah, we're talking about foreign policy blowback.
But you could have phrased it better because it sounds like you're saying people deserve to die.
Of course,
we don't believe it.
Again, in 2019, and then immediately I'm all over Fox.
Fuck, somebody find that Megyn Kelly clip that I was talking about. I know at least one person out there knows what I was talking about.
news and getting an unbelievable amount of death threats. I'm a big boy, I can handle it. It is what it is. But I went on the Young Turks and famously was like, I should have phrased things better. I apologize for those who I've offended, and I most importantly apologize for giving an opportunity the right to just like use this against.
This is a 7-year-old clip that you've already explained disowned. I have the same issue. The clip's something that I've had to talk about.
Yeah.
Jewish people calling Orthodox Jewish people inbreds. The one you and I texted back and forth many times. I was like, why would you say this?
Yeah, I have a policy of using pejoratives when describing any kind of like ethno-racial supremacist groups.
So you've got a lot of people involved.
I have an entire compilation of it out there somewhere. Of
but
just
do you regret doing this kind of because you gave a weapon to people to say?
Well, that one
clearly
that one is yeah, no, I know, but that one is like super disingenuous because like there's another one that they were like pig dog, where they're like pig dog is anti-Semitic. It wasn't even in the anti-Semitism glossary until they decided it was actually anti-Semitic. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, exactly. Most people don't even know that that's supposed to be an anti-Semitic term. It's not.
So you're just a guy who likes to call people out with incendiary rhetoric,
Oh.
and occasionally happens to be people who are Jewish, and therefore you're not targeting them because they're Jewish.
No, of course not. And everyone can see that, especially considering that.
No, but you say everyone can see that. Just serious point. Everyone can't see that. We live in a clip world, right?
Everyone.
So good faith people who might like your politics and like what you do, and then they go, "Oh man, but he said this is a clip. You're saying Orthodox Jewish people inbred. That's anti-Semitic."
Well, I didn't say Orthodox Jews are inbred. I'm talking about I'm talking specifically about settlers. I'm talking specifically about people that are joining the Israeli military to go invade Lebanon. It's not about like
joining the Israeli military to go and invade Lebanon. That's every single Israeli, by the way, who are Jewish, by the way. But okay, good one. Just right over his head.
Use that language now. Let me ask you that question.
I still definitely utilize the term inbred quite frequently when talking about religious and ethno-supremacist groups, but with the exception of anything that
him justifying the term inbred, literally the thing I'm permabanned from Twitch for. But nice.
Anything that touches Israel, because I don't want people to just like keep weaponizing that against me.
And they are
really
weaponizing, and it's not.
But it is a double standard, 100%.
100%. I agree with them.
I've called Republicans inbred hicks my whole life. I call Nazis inbred. I call them pigs. All these different things. I've gotten banned for this. I said Zionist pigs. I got banned for that. Why did I get banned for that? Because the ADL went to Twitch, went to Amazon, and made Zionism a protected identity on the platform, specifically to get me banned.
Well, that's to you.
No, literally, they did that on Twitch just for me. Wow. And eventually, they got one, and then they celebrated it. And it was I ate that suspension. Ridiculous.
But your relationship with Amazon is okay now?
My relationship with Amazon is up in the air all the time. I don't know. I sometimes don't even understand why they let me exist on the.
Oh my god, dude! How can a guy you have to take some kind of drug or something to be this shameless, right? Like to be so protected and pampered, and to be like, yeah, I don't know. At any point, I could be permanent banned. I don't know. Oh my god.
Platform, but knock on wood.
Capitalists, gotta love them.
Yeah.
I gotta ask this question though because it's not just about Israel. You say a lot of stuff. You do hours and hours of streams.
Yeah.
There's one clip. So Patrick Bet-David.
The landlord.
You put me in a real position.
That was awesome.
I'm there trying to defend you, and this is what PBD says. Let's play. I talk to Hasan all the time. Don't give your opponent sticks with you. Watch this. The guy's a non-violent guy. He doesn't support war or killing. He just says provocative things.
Do you have it, Robert, audio or no?
My understanding is that the proper.
Wait, I reposted the Megyn Kelly clip here. Oh, just on the how to treat your opponents or whatever.
Right, and like.
Oh, when people got really mad. Unique conservatives be afraid of getting killed when they go to events so that they can look to their leadership to turn down the temperature. The issue is right now, they don't feel like there is any fear. This is like the quote that got cut from me here.
Harassing everybody.
And then this is Megyn Kelly's take.
If we could just get back to that, then
I should ban you for one, you've artificially, yes, you've accelerated the speed of the clip, which is already fucking annoying. There's a playback speed control on the thing. And two, it's so fucking quiet. So you're lucky that I'm in a good mood right now. Otherwise, I would permaban you for such a dog shit Twitter clip. But
right, and like harassing everybody we didn't like. If we could just get back to that, that'd be great. But my own view is the only way back to that is to hurt them in all the ways that they hurt us. They have to feel the pain uniquely and acutely, and only that will make them reluctant to unleash these powers against us when they inevitably get back to power.
So every presidential election is this momentous, this side's going to go to war against this side. I don't see how that's ever going to lead to any kind of de-escalation in a way that's favorable to those of us who don't have a we necessarily.
Because they have to feel that there's risk involved to them if they do it again. If they don't feel the risk, they're going to keep doing it. They've proven that. It's the only way, to keep the kid from touching the stove again is for them to touch the hot stove. But they have to feel the pain in order for it to really bring the lesson home. Otherwise, the kid might touch the cold stove a second time, right? And like harassing everybody.
But obviously, it's just funny that every other faction understands this, but the libs, whatever.
Property owners.
And it sounds like she's like even encouraging. I don't know if no, it is, but I think she might be talking about like lawfare related stuff here. But yeah, Jesus, good memes.
The non-violent guy. He doesn't support war or killing. He just says provocative things.
Do you have it, Robert, audio or no?
My understanding is that the property owners who have properties there choose just not to rent it at all.
Yeah, kill them. Kill those motherfuckers and murder those motherfuckers in the street. Let the streets soak in their fucking red capitalist bloods, dude.
Yeah, that's a dumb.
Good-looking
That's
guy,
a dumb thing to say.
talented guy,
I'm gonna text,
good speaker.
I'm gonna
Why
text-
would you say
I'm
something
gonna text
like
Hasan afterwards and say you screwed me over on the Patrick Bet David because I'm not going to defend that. I don't know what the context of that is. So I said there, I'm going to text you afterwards. I did text
You did. You texted
afterwards.
me immediately.
I was furious at you because I'd not seen that clip.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, he's a non-violent guy. You're like, kill the motherfuckers in the streets.
Yeah, yeah.
What did I text? What did you text me about? What was the explanation for people who want to know why?
I mean, it's first of all LARPing. Secondly, I'm literally
Explain
talking
to people who old
LARPing.
watch the show, don't know what LARPing is.
LARPing means live action roleplay, but it's
Means
just
I'm
that's not a
trolling.
sincerely held policy position of mine, obviously. And the point
It
is,
by the way.
not only was it a conversation I was having with a former friend, not a friend anymore, who was a landlord himself at the time. You know, you can kind of hear him laughing in between, like while I'm saying that. So it's not supposed to be held sincerely. Again, from 2018, not even like a real conversation at the time, not even a real issue at the time.
With the greatest respect to you, I'm sure you're doing great in your career. Most people are not paying attention to you.
Yeah, yeah.
And I just wondered now in 2026,
Yeah.
you are not 2018 Hasan Piker. You're 2026 Piker who's in Republican attack ads, mentioned in New York mayoral debates,
Yeah.
on the campaign trail in Michigan. Do you now think, I can't say stuff like that because it will be weaponized, not
Yeah.
just against me, but against people I care about and causes I care about?
No, absolutely.
So you're more careful now.
Yeah, but I have been more careful for years, which is why they always have to go
The
back
old
to
ones.
they always have to go back to like 2018 to be like, see, this is who he is, or even
'Cause it
earlier than that.
frustrates
There's
me-
Which is what Hasan does when he's
It
attacking people,
frustrates
by the
me
way. But
that people on the left give the right. I'm not just talking about you. I'm talking about people on Twitter. I'm talking about members of Congress, members of Parliament. There are people on our side of the argument who just say sometimes over-emotional, batshit crazy things and is then weaponized against the entire cause.
Yeah, but I think what matters is who you are as a person and where you are in your life. And I give this, I am open-minded even towards people on the right who demonstrate that change, unless they're grifters, which I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit.
We are.
But ultimately, I don't think that this is a correct standard to apply. My standard on this is this clip representative of this person's actual worldview?
Yes.
Is it representative of what they're advancing and advocating for right now?
Yeah.
Have they changed? Have they apologized for it?
Yep.
Right? So something like that is very
Who the
obviously
fuck is
not
he
a sincerely
talking
held
about?
belief of mine.
Oh
Because
my
if that
God.
was the case, I've talked for 21,000 hours.
Yes.
You would probably have a lot more clips of me being like, no, actually, I think we should do.
Well, there's a compilation online. I think we can play it of you condemning anti-Semitism, standing up for
Yeah.
Jewish people under
Oh
attack.
my
There are more clips of that,
God.
but no one sees those until
Yeah.
somebody does a compilation.
Yeah,
and it'd be a very
and-
weird kind of anti-Semite Nick Fuentes wannabe
Yeah,
who's saying
exactly.
stuff like that.
Anti-Semitism is a canary in the coal mine of fascism.
I will always.
Oh, he says, there's a clip of him saying anti-Semitism bad. Oh, okay.
Always call out anti-Semitism. It's gross. It's immoral. It is a hate crime. There is real anti-Semitism. There is actually
A hate crime? In what country? What?
a sense of marginalization that is valid.
And the same goes for even like advocacy for violence, where I talk about whenever I offer analysis about structural forms of violence and what decentralized forms of violence look like, or who gets to do violence and how it's considered appropriate by the masses, people immediately go, "That's an endorsement," and it's very frustrating. Like Ross Douthat did that to me when we had a New York Times podcast together, where he literally was like, "Oh, you're saying," I was explaining to him the concept of adventurism when talking about Luigi Mangione. As a leftist, in the leftist tradition, in the Marxist tradition, there are those, or in the Leninist tradition, there are those who actually abhor adventurism. This is decentralized violence. It only instigates the masses. It only frustrates the masses. Propaganda of the deed is what the anarchists call it. But leftists want organized and structured and disciplined movements and disciplined mobilization, labor militancy, in order to enact this change. Like we don't believe in random acts of violence as like it might make some people feel good in the moment, but ultimately it causes too much chaos. Right? That's not a way to organize society. So I was
not
trying to explain
random
this
acts
concept
of
to him,
violence, but like
and I thought,
well-controlled acts of violence. Thank
writer,
you.
He's a
I feel so
well-read
much
guy
better.
for a
Okay.
conservative, very well read for conservatives because he's literate, I assume.
Jesus
And he
Christ.
thought that meant I was. He thought that was a positive term. I was saying he's going on an adventure, and that's what we
But
left
at
it
least
off
that's
as.
ignorance, maybe,
Yeah.
or stupidity. It is the bad faith actors we really have to worry about.
Yeah.
who come- And it's interesting what you said about body of work, because obviously I'm older than you. I'm a decade older than you. I've been a journalist for 26 years. I've been a public figure I've been a public figure for 17 years. And 20 years ago when I wasn't a public figure, I said some dumb shit, which I still regret. I've talked about it many times. And it's funny how people now as I become more prominent in the US, a lot of right-wingers, you'll see every time I post it, it'll be in the replies. And it's kind of like, this is pure bad faith, because obviously you have years and years of columns, tweets, posts, interviews, monologues, MSNBC, where I didn't say any of this stuff, where I said the opposite of this stuff, where I've stood with minority communities, Jewish communities, gay communities, but nobody cares about that, right? We don't live in a world where people look at your body of work. They look at the last clip that popped up in the algorithm.
Yeah.
And that is obviously a source of frustration and a weapon for bad faith actors to wield.
Yeah, which is precisely the reason why I tackled the forum, where I say, look, none of this is reflective of my position at all. It's purely bad faith. And I think there's a little bit of power in that, and I wish that we would do that a little bit more, because there is power in shamelessness. Donald Trump has proven
100%.
that. And I wish that we could be a little bit more bold as well on the left to just be like, look, man, it's not serious.
Yeah.
It's not a sincerely held position. I don't know why you're trying to make it out to be serious. The compilation that you said we could look at, there's like there are so many instances where I'm using metaphor. Like I'm very clearly talking about like how vicious Democrats should be on the debate stage. Where I'm like, they need to gut them. They need to gut their opponent, shake them, let their guts run.
Muslim men can't use violence.
But it's like
We're not
so
allowed.
clearly, it's so clearly metaphor. But then when they package it in this like larger compilation, it's all of a sudden like, oh, it's a call to violence. He's trying to do Islamic style jihad. And the worst version of this was when I was talking about drone warfare. Laura Loomer and Canary Mission and Vicky Palladino in New York, they took this clip of me talking about how, albeit a little bit jokingly, talking about like how drone warfare has like genuinely changed the way that conflicts exist in the world. And I was saying like, if you're still doing suicide suicide bombing at that point. You're just doing it for the love of the game, because you could purchase a commercial drone and buy on the TikTok shop like one of these like grenade.
They suggested you're inciting violence.
Yeah, they were saying that I was teaching my audience of radical Islamic jihadists how to do drone terror attacks.
Gotta be careful, Hassan.
But that's an insane environment to work in.
And I had to think twice. I often talk about when you're debating, you throw a rhetorical hand grenade into debate. You pull the pin, you throw it out. It's like a mic drop. And I often use the analogy of a hand grenade. And I'm thinking, should I put this?
Why does no one ever ask about any other foreign policy issue? Well, it's not. He's not even asking like this is a same team interview of like Glaze, because like he's not even asking him any critical questions about the foreign policy stuff. It's just like, here, let me allow you to explain your joke. What do you actually think about this thing though? Like, it's so dumb to talk about like there's like a top line word. It's like, are you pro-violence? It's like, well, no, obviously I'm against violence. And then you like leave it. And it's like, okay, well, that's like the top line statement. But when he says things like, I think you're fully justified in murdering every single capitalist in the world and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, what's going on with that, right? They never actually force them to explain or reconcile into those positions. They just give them the easy like rhetorical W and then they just moonwalk away from it. It's like, okay.
It's in the book.
Yeah, you know who else uses hand grenades? Hamas.
Yeah, so the book is Hamas.
Yeah.
The book about debating and persuading.
Reading is Hamas.
Reading is Hamas.
Yeah.
I think so.
In the name of Allah, read. That's in the Quran.
I love that Hassan Pike is quoting the Quran.
I'm just saying that's...
You're not a religious man.
No.
You're not just getting attacked by Democrats, of course. You get attacked by Republicans. Senator Rick Scott of Florida is very upset. He thinks you want to kill him.
Yeah, that was another funny one, where it's like very clearly I'm responding to Mike Johnson. And I'm not saying like someone should go out and do this thing. I'm saying like if you cared about this, you would...
Care about fraud, I think you were talking about.
If you cared about medical fraud, you would like punish this guy who's done Medicare fraud.
You were also detained at Chicago Airport by U.S. Customs and Border Police who wanted to talk to you about Hamas and Houthis.
Yeah, and my opinion on Trump too.
Oh my God. Detained by them for 15 minutes.
And your opinion on Trump. The Treasury Department we talked about in Cuba. We don't know what's going on there. How worried are you about the Republicans in government weaponizing government to come after you?
I'm worried about my own safety, the safety of my family, but I'm more so worried about where we're headed.
Yes.
Because look,
it's about the people.
I'm a very privileged person. I've made a lot of money in my career. I know a lot of people in relative positions of power, and I'm an American citizen. I was born here. So if they can do that to me, right? The guy living the immigrant dream, right? The archetype guy comes to America and builds a business, right? If they can do that to me, they're doing horrible things to everybody else, right? And they already are doing horrible things to everybody else. And part of the reason why they want to come after me is because I'm trying to shine a light on it all the time and badger people over it, over these injustices that are going on. So from my perspective, it's just like if they come after someone like myself in that way, then it's over. Like they are successfully dismantling the democratic process and what remains of these institutions.
You have managed to piss off not just Republicans and Democrats, but foreign governments. The Labour government in the UK, by the time this airs, Keir Starmer will no longer be Prime Minister of the UK.
Yeah.
But one of his final prominent, globally recognised acts was to ban yourself from entering the United Kingdom.
Yes, Shabana Mahmood.
Muslim Home Secretary.
Yeah.
She may be the Chancellor of the Exchequer by the time this airs. She's about to be promoted by the new Prime Minister, Andy Burnham. So they banned you. What did they say was the reason for banning you?
That my presence would not be conducive to the public good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw you getting mad at me that I went to England shortly after you got
Yeah, there's a little bit of a
Now,
play.
if Mehdi wanted to be a real journalist here, he might talk about how, well, there was a terrorist attack in the United Kingdom where it's like Voices for Palestine or something, I don't know what they're called, where these guys like went and sabotaged a Royal Air Force base because they thought that the people were going to go ship things to fucking Israel. They weren't. They were shipping things to Ukraine. I don't even know if these actors fucking care, though. And then you actually cheered that on Twitch, which was a violation of Twitch's TOS, but obviously nobody gives a fuck over on that dogshit platform. But don't you think it might be fair that the UK doesn't want somebody who literally cheers on terrorist attacks happening in their country to come and visit their country and give speeches? Is that not like a fair thing that you should have a right to a free visa? Well, but we'll see if he brings it up.
I mean, I'm British.
Yeah.
I'm a dual national. Like, you're Turkish American, I'm British American.
Yeah, but I can't go to Turkey.
Yeah.
I'm also de facto banned from Turkey as well.
Okay. So, yeah, the problem, there's a lot of countries in our line.
I don't know why he keeps saying this, but okay.
Well, a lot of countries you get banned from for speaking out. Do you hope to go back to the UK under Andy Burnham? Do you have a message? Let's to that camera. Do you have a message for Prime Minister Andy Burnham, new Prime Minister of the UK?
He watches you think? He's a fan?
I think so.
Andy Burnham, very disappointed in your potential promotion of Shabana Mahmood. I think she's horrible, and I think that spells that you're not looking forward to a different Labour government, but you're actually looking inward and basically uplifting some of the worst elements of the existing Labour government. And it's not just about my own personal ban, but also her decisions on what to do with migrants and immigration and refugees and whatnot. I hope that. I hope that you can actually stop the austerity and reverse the now 2 decades of austerity that both the Tories and the Labour government has implemented. But if you don't do that, then you guys are going to be ruled by reform or maybe even restore. So
that's a good flex. Look at your coverage of British politics is great there.
Yeah, of course. I mean,
Shabana Mahmood, austerity, reform.
But they paid me for the country.
Yeah, it's bad. British politics. We'll see. Andy Burnham, he said some good stuff. It's not enough. We'll see what happens. By the time this airs, he'll already be Prime Minister. We'll see what his first big decisions are. At least he tried to start with an apology on Gaza. We shall see how that progresses in terms of policy.
I think that's just like a little bit of ass covering. I think that's what everyone's doing now. That's all the rage.
Well, you remember the
Kamala
Omar
Harris.
al-Akkad book? We had him on the show a couple of years back.
Yeah. One day everyone will be against this.
We'll always have been against this.
Yeah, we'll always be.
All right, we got to talk about a big topic in our world, and that is a man named Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get it wherever you go, but wherever I go, and I've talked with Bassem on this show about it. I've talked with Crystal Ball about it on this show. Wherever I go, people say to me, I speak to a lot of live events. I do a lot of big audience events. People in the Q&A. It's a running joke. Since January 2025, I've not done a Q&A, live Q&A in anywhere in the world, in London, in LA, in wherever it is, New York, DC, where somebody in the audience doesn't say, when are you going to sit down with Tucker Carlson? What's your view of Tucker Carlson? Isn't Tucker Carlson great? What is your position on the Tucker Carlson rebirth, whatever you want to call it, reimagination of Tucker Carlson, the new anti-Israel, supposedly anti-Republican, anti-Trump Tucker Carlson? Where do you stand on Tucker?
I think he's an agent for Peter Thiel, and I've maintained that position.
Peter Thiel being the billionaire
Palantir,
quote-unquote libertarian right
Yeah, now Argentinian national, newly minted. And I think that a lot of his opinion, whether it's sincere or not on Gaza, I can't dispute that, right? I don't know his heart. But what I can say is...
what he said on Gaza has been good.
Yes, and he's been great on that issue for sure. I have no problems openly admitting that. He's a phenomenal communicator, and that's what makes him so dangerous from my perspective, because he has channeled and continues to channel a lot of white nationalist, white nativist, anti-immigrant stances. And that's something that I obviously oppose and find to be quite odious. But he's been great on Palestine now, and he's been pretty decent on Israel overall. Its influence on American foreign policy, on domestic policy. However, I've always maintained an arm's length distance from Tucker, and because I have this healthy distrust of Tucker, because I think that he will inevitably use the established credibility that he has as this anti-war Republican to launder the reputation of J.D. Vance potentially.
I agree with you, and that's why I wanted to play this.
Notice how crazy it is also that when I talk about the scary things related to kind of like embracing these socialist types, and then your Josiah's and your Peace Goes will throw up this like, well, I mean, shouldn't we just kind of bring them along for the ride as long as they're doing things that are somewhat beneficial to us? This infinite, what I would argue is like, you're laundering the socialist reputation in the name, and you're just setting yourself up for future disaster. Notice how these two guys are aware of that here, right? Careful for Tucker Carlson, even though he's saying things that we agree with, right? All that's going to be used to do is provide more credibility to this ideology that we don't agree with, right? Notice how they're cognizant of that.
Clip to you, I'm sure you've seen it. Let's get your reaction.
But notice how they're cognizant of that on the defense, but on the offense, they'll weaponize that against you, and then they'll use that as an attack point, where it's like, hey, like, well, don't we just want healthcare? Like, don't we kind of agree directionally on a lot of things?
Hussein of the Bloomberg interviewing Tucker Carlson.
Well, I think if J.D. Vance were president, of course he would not be at a war with Iran. It's impossible for me to imagine J.D. Vance standing up and saying we need to have 2 wars to defeat a phantom nuclear program. It's too insane. I think he has too much self-respect to say something like that. I don't think he believes it. I think J.D. Vance would have led the Republican Party into closer alignment with its own voters. But he was not the president. He's the vice president, and he doesn't have the authority.
Yeah, but he could be the next presidential candidate.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I mean, I wish he had been elected president in 2024, but that didn't happen.
That clip is fascinating on multiple levels. I wish he'd been elected president in 2024, but the man who was elected president in 2024 came with Tucker Carlson's endorsement. Tucker campaigned for him, spoke at the RNC, told us
about his anti-war credibility.
Laundered his reputation, some might say, to use the phrase used a moment ago. So first of all, it's interesting to say, oh, we got this bad guy, we should have this good guy, but he said the exact reverse in 2024. And then this argument that J.D. Vance is anti-war. First of all, I don't believe J.D. Vance believes anything sincerely. He really is a Peter Thiel creation.
He's
follow the money.
boy.
But separately, we know from the reporting from the New York Times and others, it's all been kind of vindicated, that in the Situation Room 10 days before the attack on Iran, February 18th, J.D. Vance is telling Donald Trump, go big. Go big. He was an anti-war voice in that situation.
Yeah, but then he also was trying to...
Wait, is that true? I thought he was kind of pushing against it, but I don't remember why.
I didn't ever see him saying, go big, go big.
Yeah, I thought the whole point of that, maybe I just missed that article, I guess.
Tell the New York Times that he was, the lone critic in the room as well. So it's clear that he's trying to position himself for the future. There's 2 different wings in the MAGA movement right now. There's going to be far more people that want to carry that torch once Donald Trump is no longer eligible to run again, which we don't even know if that's gonna.
If he's gonna stick.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see where we're at by the time we get there. But you got the Marco Rubio camp and you got the J.D. Vance camp. And I will admit, I think that Donald Trump is leaning the Marco Rubio camp a little bit. He's given him the far easier goal of implementing the Don Roe doctrine. So he's overseeing the installation of fascist puppets in Latin American countries, and also military interventions like the one we saw in Venezuela. Apparently, he's like basically sexting with Delcy Rodriguez on a daily basis. They're just like sending each other pics and stuff on WhatsApp. Strange experience overall. So he's got the cushy prime job as the Secretary of State, whereas J.D. Vance is on, janitorial duty right now, in a manner not dissimilar to what Biden did with Kamala Harris, like putting him on the Iran deal.
Clean up on aisle 7.
Yeah, it's the worst deal to potentially be a part of because Donald Trump is unbelievably compromised by Israel or unbelievably loyal to Israel's interests, and they don't want any kind of deal there. They don't want any kind of cessation of hostility, and no one around the world actually wants to continue this war because it's destabilizing the energy market. So now J.D. Vance is responsible for all of that. So he's going on Joe Rogan and talking about Israel, talking about Epstein.
Positioning.
Yeah, he's trying to position himself as like in opposition to this stuff.
Yeah, a couple of things. One is the Rubio-Vance debate that's kind of roiling this town, DC. Oh, Rubio-Vance. I actually think it might not be either of them in 28. The politics is so chaotic.
Yeah, I think it's
you
going
can't
to be
predict
Tucker
2 years out. It could be Tucker Carlson. It's interesting that he says he wants J.D. Vance. A lot of people want Carlson to run. It could be, we don't know, right? Politics is so insane right now. 2 years is a long time. The Republican Party the base is all over the place. Anyone could emerge. Rubio, it could be, they don't want anyone associated with Trump. Trump is such a damaged brand.
Yeah,
who knows?
2 years ago, you had 34 Democrats vote against funding Israel.
Yeah. IRA was kind of dooming yesterday about the Wisconsin lady, and polls on Democrats kind of spooky when old guy is dooming. Wait, what link? She just seems so wacky. I just can't imagine. But I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know how I just don't know how she's leading so much, I guess.
And today, this past week is 104.
So things change fast in our political climate. But even on the Vance, Vance is a super online guy, right? If you saw the reporting of how Susie Wiles wanted him to get off Twitter, he was spending too much time online attacking people like me. He spends a lot of time online. He doesn't really believe anything. So he can see the currents. This guy was a never Trumper when it was fashionable to be a never Trumper. He became MAGA when it was fashionable to be MAGA. And now on the Joe Rogan podcast, he's talking about Israel having too much power and the Israelis not liking the deal. And it's kind of like, he's playing to the Fuentes Groiper element of the wing. We know that's what he's doing. Do you think it'll work though?
No, and I don't think
the policies looked fine when we looked at them yesterday. Yeah, at least you didn't say anything. Well, they looked retarded. It was all just like, here's a whole bunch of fucking free shit that I'm going to give everybody. So if you want to say that was fine, then I guess it looks good. If you can give like a whole bunch of fucking free shit to everybody, that seems awesome. But I don't know the fuck she's going to pay. None of that is happening.
Well, I think he's too lived up. Like I think aesthetics do matter, and I feel like he's the liberal Groiper. Like he's just this unbelievable creation that speaks in the language that liberals understand. He was supposed to be the working class whisperer when he wrote the Hillbilly Elegy, and MSNBC loved him back then when he was calling Trump Hitler.
I had him on my Al Jazeera show in 2016.
You did?
Yeah, J.D. Vance. He looked different. He was clean shaven, carried a few more pounds.
Yeah.
And he said stuff like Trump is taking people in a dark direction. My Muslim friends are worried. That was the J.D. Vance I spoke to.
And his trans friends too. Yes. And now he's liberal Groiper, but it's funny because his wife is Indian, his kids are Indian, and he has to maintain this weird posture where he has to.
He threw his wife under the bus at a TPUSA event.
Yeah, when he said she's going to hell.
He basically said
he literally implied his wife is going to hell.
And then she got him back, though. I love their weird dynamic. She got him back. You see the joint interview where they asked about being Hindu? And she was, I'm very comfortable in my faith. I grew up in a very stable family, so I'm very comfortable in my faith.
Oh,
I
didn't see
didn't to her husband. It was a version of that.
Usher, my queen.
No, let's not do the my queen thing. She's awful. She was just interviewing Trump and falling all over Trump. She sat at the RNC with the mass deportations. Former friends of hers say this is a very cynical move by her.
Oh, for sure.
She used to be a liberal Democrat.
They're Yale graduates.
They want power.
These guys.
Sometimes we do this. Remember those thing about Melania blink twice in first term? Like Melania is a racist who endorsed birtherism.
When I say Usha, my queen,
there are some people watching who might think Usha's leading at internal resistance.
I'm not being sincere about that.
On the sincerity point, just before we move on, Tucker on Michelle Hussein's show talking about Vance there, and then JD Vance on Rogan. Like, these people are all positioning. I think it's a good thing because I was actually worried for a while that and me and Shadi Hamid of Washington got in trouble simply for pointing out that we have a lot of Muslim friends who love Tucker and who would vote for Tucker if he ran. And people were shooting the messages like, how can he be pro-Tucker? I'm not pro-Tucker, I'm just telling you what people are saying, right? And I think the more he kind of goes on about JD Vance, normies may open their eyes and say, actually, Tucker Carlson is not some great anti-war hero. He's clearly doing what you said, which is laundering JD Vance's reputation for 2028.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what's going on. These guys are, fairly cynical. They're cold. They're amoral or immoral. They're operators, and people need to understand that these aren't like regular people that are responding to stimuli in the same way that like a normie who's uninitiated would, right? When they see like the horrible images coming out of Gaza and they go, "This is unbelievable. We need to put a stop to it." It can still be impactful. Genocide is the crime of all crimes for good reason. And that's why I always say, I don't doubt the sincerity of people's opinions when they speak on this issue. But I do place a lot of emphasis on what they do with their newfound change of attitude.
There are a lot of grifters out there. Talking of sincerity and talking of rehabilitation and laundering, what is up with Joe Rogan? There was a whole debate. Is Hasan Piker the new Joe Rogan on the left? I'm like, do we want a Joe Rogan on the left? What is the deal with him just having Republicans and MAGA folks and billionaires on his show? They go straight there to kind of rehabilitate themselves.
Epstein class. Anytime there's a billionaire that gets hit with a Dominican ray and they're wearing like a black fitted tee, they start doing Brazilian jiu-jitsu. They change up their hair a little bit. They go on Joe Rogan, and they're like, "I'm just like you, dude."
But what's his goal? Do you think?
It's just money.
Has he ever invited you on?
No, he'll never invite me on.
Yeah, no.
I know for a fact that he is not fond of people who have called him out in the past.
Yeah.
Like he maintains a tight ship over there, and he has a massive platform. So I understand that he doesn't want to open that platform and the influence that he wields over tens of millions of people.
It's very Bill Maher-esque.
Yeah, Bill Maher will never have me on either.
Same with me.
Yeah, he'll talk about me.
I want to go on. It's funny you mentioned Bill Maher because the Democrats are like, we shouldn't go on Hasan Piker, but they all go on Bill Maher.
I want to go on Bill Maher.
But the Democrats, don't talk about the hypocrisy of Democrats. Don't go on Hasan Piker's show, but we'll go on Bill Maher's show.
OG 9/11 guy.
OG 9/11 guy. Said they were brave.
Yeah,
9/11 hijackers lost the
like
show.
a week after 9/11.
Even you didn't do that.
Yeah, I was
do
dead.
that. Yeah. Were you really?
Yeah.
But Bill Maher said horrifically anti-black things. He said the N-word on his show. He said he's very misogynistic,
N-word.
anti-Muslim. But they all go on that
Transphobic.
show. They all go on that show. The double standard is brazen. But yeah, the Bill Maher, Joe Rogans, they do this free speech champion stuff. But yeah, they don't have people who come on and disagree with them or call them out. It's a very good point. You talked about JD Vance, Rubio, 2028. We're almost out of time, but I got to ask. Democrats, 2028. Got a little game for you. Try and work out where you stand on things. I know you talked about this before. Let's just play a little game. If you had to pick between two for 2028, a Democrat, who would you pick between Gavin Newsom and Rahm Emanuel?
Oh God. Oh, shoot me. Oh, I have no idea.
You have to pick one. That's the game.
You know what's crazy? Rahm Emanuel is better on foreign policy than Gavin Newsom.
Criticizing Israel recently, you buy that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't buy it. His dad was in Irgun, I think, which is wild.
All right, so Rahm Emanuel, Gavin Newsom is wrong.
I don't know, because Gavin is an empty suit. So are we capable of pushing him?
So
but he's also
I'm not
an
doing
empty
the game.
suit.
You are.
Yeah, I know. This is
Rahm Emanuel or Gavin Newsom?
Oh, I don't know. Gavin Newsom probably.
Gavin Newsom or Pete Buttigieg?
Pete Buttigieg. This game sucks.
Pete Buttigieg or Kamala Harris?
I don't know, because I'm now thinking like who's more malleable, who's more susceptible.
Whatever reasoning you have, I'm just asking you to give it
to influence.
Notice how Hasan is making the same calculation that I was when people ask me the whole AOC or JD Vance. And I'm like, damn, I don't know who can push away, certain aspects of the party or whatever. And like these guys, they understand the game. You guys just don't think like these people, and you don't understand how they think. It's so fucking frustrating. Oh my God.
I don't know. I mean, Kamala Harris, I guess. She has more name recognition.
Kamala Harris or John Ossoff?
Oh, John Ossoff.
John Ossoff or J.B. Pritzker?
J.B. Pritzker.
Why?
I think J.B. Pritzker, despite being a billionaire, is, again, more responsive, whereas John Ossoff as...
Billionaire, John Ossoff Jew.
John Ossoff has a more interesting background and is, like, I think, secretly closer to, my worldview than J.B. Pritzker is even.
Push Pritzker more.
But I think Pritzker has this this ability to read the room, the left side of the room, whereas John Ossoff is always reading the right side of the room, if you know what I mean.
I do.
Like one is posturing to the left, the other is posturing to the right more than they should be.
You prefer the posturing of the billionaire to the left. J.B. Pritzker or Chris Van Hollen?
Chris Van Hollen.
Chris Van Hollen or Ro Khanna?
Ro Khanna.
Ro Khanna or AOC?
AOC. It's not even a question. AOC is, out of all of the people that you mentioned, like AOC is the only one that I would like.
And you think she could win general election?
Yeah,
misogynistic, racist country.
Yes,
where
yes, I
people
do.
are
Yes,
a lot of misogynist and racist in this country.
100%. Absolutely. America was built on the foundations of white supremacy and elected a black man whose middle name was Hussein.
But you know that the position of Barack Obama, he wasn't just the first black president, he was the last black president. The argument is that him coming in, that's a view for a lot of people.
I don't think that's the case.
Good. I don't think it's the case, but I think that is an argument that America has since had two women. One of them was a black woman, and they got absolutely...
I don't think Kamala Harris lost because, I think her being a black woman, of course, is a major factor in her defeat.
Yeah, he has to be careful. Remember where...
These are hurdles. Yeah. But these are hurdles that one can clear. You just have to outwork your opposition. You have to, and Zoran showed this.
Remember, people like Hasan, he's got to be super mask on here, and Mehdi doesn't understand the game, so he gets easily hoodwinked. But Hasan will always be like a progressive type on these shows. He's very, very, very progressive. I mean, he cares about things like minorities and everything else. Ordinarily, he fucking hates this shit. He would never concede, maybe in the most minor way possible, but personally, he would never concede that Kamala's race or gender had anything to do with her losing. It's all because she's like a shill fucking class politics and everything, yeah.
New York in a much smaller race, obviously, and New York is not the rest of the country. But the point I'm making is it just makes things more difficult. But as long as you have moral conviction, as long as you can excite the base, as long as you can actually create a unique coalition and activate low propensity voters, which I think AOC has the capacity to do.
I think she would be a fantastic left candidate, even better than Bernie in many ways. My issue is, as you said at the start, we talked about left infighting. She has come under a lot of attack, not from the right recently, but from parts of the left.
Yeah, I mean, I criticize her too.
I'm not talking about criticize. You can criticize her.
Yeah.
You can say AOC went to the DNC and said they're working tirelessly for a ceasefire. I would criticize that. I criticized her time. I had Ilhan Omar on the next day, and even Ilhan implicitly criticized her. That's different to what's been happening in recent months, which is like AOC is CIA. She's a sellout. Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene are more principled than AOC. You've seen this shit online.
But
I've called it out.
This is internet jargon.
Yeah, Hasan has to cover now because those are his people that are probably making those kinds of call-outs. I fucking hate AOC. Yeah.
This is internet mumbo jumbo.
Like, these are prominent people on the internet.
It doesn't matter. It's just internet.
You don't think it has a real world impact? My worry is,
No.
a problem for lefties always is that lefties get attacked by the right and they get attacked by the left. Right wingers only get attacked by the left. Their side is loyal to the end of the day.
And it's funny that Mehdi doesn't realize that he sees that, but he has no idea why. He has zero understanding of what's actually happening there, right? Because he's literally facilitating it right now. But King, go off.
Right, criticize. When push comes to shove, they fall in line.
Yeah.
And this is why, many of the reasons why the time we
you know who else says that? Democrats. Establishment Democrats. That's their biggest gripe. They always say like, oh, our candidates are...
But they're as guilty as anyone else.
Yeah, I know.
If Abdul is the candidate in the Senate in Maine, in Michigan, if he wins, establishment Democrats are going to come out enthusiastically campaigning for him. They're going to undermine him as well.
Yeah.
Like, that claim is just so brain dead. I don't even know how... Like, you could be a serious political person and say that. Like, oh, they definitely won't support al-Sayed. Like, one... They probably would, because they did with all the other radical Dems in the past that made it in. But then, two, are you telling me that them constantly saying that Stevens is a fucking genocide-supporting, Zionist, AIPAC, corporatist, basically MAGA light shill, they're going to enthusiastically support her? Like, hello? Are we being real right now?
Whether it's liberals or left, we can use whatever phrase we want. The non-Republican side is often tearing itself apart.
100%.
And with AOC, I've just found it bizarre, people claiming, because she did one bad line at the DNC in 2024, they're ignoring her.
It was a pretty big bad line.
But they're ignoring multiple votes of hers that were pro-Palestine. You know, the idea that Tucker Carlson is better on Gaza than AOC is insane to me.
No, I don't disagree with that at all. I know. I agree with you on that.
Why do you think there are some people on our side who are so intent on pumping up Tucker and Marjorie and Candace at the expense of actual left-wing figures like Delia Ramirez or AOC?
I'll be a little critical of AOC on this. I think it's a little bit AOC's fault.
Go on.
I like her a lot.
Oh, shit.
However, I
Here
think
we go. She's not meeting the moment.
She doesn't harness the populist rage in the way that she communicates. I think part of the reason why a lot of liberals like her, and she
It's
has
because
this broad,
she's a lib shill.
coalitional support amongst
A lib
liberals in a way that
shill
Bernie
fuck.
never did.
Which is a good thing for her prospects.
Which is a good thing for her prospects in the primary, but not necessarily good overall. It could be an issue overall, is because she doesn't come out and she doesn't rip into people, right? She does every now and then, but she's always taking bold steps in the legislative side. She'll go on the debate floor, or she'll go on the floor of Congress and openly say Israel is, starving people. It's a famine. This is a genocide.
Good job, I guess.
Any of her
but
other
then she votes for defensive weapons for Israel.
at least with the exception of, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and whatnot. But she'll do that, but then she'll do a lot of, she'll go on an apology tour, basically.
Oh, about anti-Semitism.
So it's always like 2 steps forward and then 3 steps back, where she'll go and do seminars with liberal Zionist groups to talk about the dangers of anti-Semitism. Now, this is something that you and I both care about. Anti-Semitism is a significant problem. However,
we care about it because we say we care about it.
The groups that are doing that to signal that that you are still beholden to whichever narrative that they're going to.
She's in a different position, clearly.
Yes, and trust me, I know I get yelled at by the left a lot as well, and also by the right, and also by liberals. So I understand that. However, having said that, I think I have unique insight into this, and you do too as well, because we've been doing this for a long time, and you have to be shameless a little bit. You have to be bold, you have to be brave, and you have to be a little shameless.
Bold, brave, shameless. We should put that on a mug.
Yeah, no, but I mean it, because if you're not, you're not going to be able to get across your moral convictions. If you come across as even a little worried or even a little defensive, then people respond to that with, oh, maybe she doesn't believe this either. Some people think it's insincere. Some people think it's wrong. It's the wrong position, and you know it. You're recognizing that your position is wrong. You have to be convincing.
My not critique per se, but advice, unsolicited, is in this age where content is everything, you also need to be out there everywhere. What Ro Khanna has mastered is the art of going everywhere, anywhere. He went on my show last week. He went on Drop Site, took a rhetorical beating from Jeremy Scahill, our good friend. But Ro Khanna doesn't stop going on Fox, where he argues with people. I think AOC has been brilliant on social media. I've never seen a politician like her on social in the way that she dominates social media. But go out and do more interviews. Do you think 2028 is going to be another podcast election like 2024 was?
Oh, for sure. It's going to be more.
So you need to have a candidate who can communicate.
Yes, and AOC has that capacity, but the way she carries herself, I think, is a little bit too optics driven, too liberal and too optics driven.
Too liberal.
I think Zoran has done a pretty good job of merging those two worlds, where he speaks the language of liberalism in ways that
Andrew Schultz
but in ways that annoy me sometimes too. Oh my God, I just listened to his new New York Times conversation where the New York Times asked him, if you had unlimited money, what would you do? And he's like, exactly the same policies I'm implementing. I'm like, shut the fuck up, dude. Really? You wouldn't, if you had unlimited money. If money was no object, you would do Fast and Free buses.
I was about to end the show, but are we really going to end the show on you saying, shut the fuck up, Zoran Mamdani?
I mean, come on.
What a twist. What a twist there.
Turn it off
He'll
sometimes.
be so disappointed in both of us.
Yeah,
although you do copy his suit style.
I do. Well, not this.
Not today,
no,
but in general.
No,
Today
I love the guy. I have my disagreements with him from time to time.
Say unleash a bit more. What was it? Bold? Brave?
I mean, this is what I told him as well.
The mug style.
Bold, brave, and unapologetic. Let's not say shameless.
Okay.
Bold, brave, and unapologetic. But that's what it is, because when Tucker speaks on this issue, he speaks with conviction, because he has a lot of experience being a shameless person.
We're making a mug. I'm going to talk to the merch team. We're making a mug of that Hasan Piker quote on We're Not Kidding. Bold, brave, unapologetic.
Yeah.
And tiny little asterisk thing. Really shameless.
Yeah.
Hasan, it's your birthday soon. Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. I'm going to be 35.
You can run for president. Cool.
Yeah. It's not going to happen.
Put you in the 2028 mix.
Let's not.
There's a faction of people that want to see Hasan Piker versus Tucker Carlson. There is a faction of people that want to see Piker versus Carlson in 20. They believe that is what America, to use your phrase, deserves.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. They're going to arrest me as soon as I get out of this podcast if we keep talking about this. I am not running for president.
Shit, he's born in America, he's 35, he's going to run president, now we got to go after Hasan Piker.
Yeah.
All right, well, we will have to leave it there. That is our show. Make sure you go to zeteo.com, become a subscriber, support independent journalism. You can download this podcast earlier than anyone else if you're a paid subscriber. Watch it without paywalls. Support the show, support independent media, support Hasan Piker's Twitch streams. I am Mehdi Hasan.
I'm Hasan Piker.
And we were not kidding. Wow. We're Not Kidding is a Zeteo production. I'm your host, Mehdi Hasan, and today's co-host was Hasan Piker. Our executive producer is Kieran Alvey. Our senior producer and editor is Frank Capello. Our music was composed by Andy Clausen. Our design is by Alicia Tetone. Our mix engineer is Valentino Rivera, and the title card animation is by Ahsan Mezghali. Special thanks to Alia Haq for help with the research. Did you like this video? Don't forget to subscribe to this YouTube channel and turn on notifications. For exclusive content and to support our independent, unfiltered journalism, head over to zeteo.com. Your support matters.
Well...